My breasts are more empty now.
Tits.
Welcome to another episode of Ambitious.
But yeah, feel free to have more shots of whiskey, whatever you need.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so thanks for coming on the show. Tell everybody who you are and just whatever you want the audience to know about you.
Okay. Well, my name is Rylee. Rylee Dawn Troutman. It's my maiden name. And now I'm Foreman.
Yeah, we had your husband on the show not
Yeah.
too long ago.
Yeah.
Be a man.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And I, as a disclaimer, and I asked you, I was like, Ammon, it's time. Let's do a podcast together.
Yeah, the time has come.
Yeah, the time has come.
I was like, oh, okay.
And so I've secretly been wanting to do a podcast with you for a while. And, but just like, I'm like, I don't live this life of ambition, like great ambition, at least when it comes to business, you know.
But then you listen to the podcast, you're like, oh, he doesn't talk about business at all.
I was like, okay, you've interviewed like my family, like Jesse twice, Jasmine twice, Jeremy once, and I was like, it's time. And if you don't just reach out and grab life by the balls, then you just have a hand with no balls in it. So.
What a boring life.
We all need some balls.
I didn't know that you even listened to the show until you reached. I mean, I guess figured since Jeremy came on, but I just didn't put two and two together.
I've meandered in and out, like some, like selective listening, like.
Yeah. If a topic interests you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's really, there's a podcast I have always really liked called The Moth, and it's, yeah, it's just like a good documentation of like the human experience, and I don't know, like sometimes I feel like your podcast focuses on ambition, but sometimes I feel like it's just like the human experience, which I think is really valuable to share. And
yeah, I think so too. It used to be kind of more photography based and just my business based, but it's evolved into just like the human experience and relationships specifically. And that can look like anything. Relationships can be with other people, they can be with pets, they can be with substances.
Yourself.
Yes, that too. So yeah, I just like to explore it. And I think the epitome of that for me in the show was when I interviewed that guy, the polyamorous guy. Like that was such a unique type of relationship that I had never explored before in conversation. And so talking to him, we talked for like 2.5 hours about, it felt like an interrogation, just asking him like, how do you do this? How do you have the energy? How do you have the time?
Yeah.
How do you have the
emotional
libido?
Capacity?
Yeah. It definitely, it seems like it's like a trending thing, or just, more people are becoming more open to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the ways that it's convenient. Like, I can, like monogamy isn't like always easy, or like we live so long, but I also see how messy it would be,
Well, there's conveniences in it because when you're with one person for so long, you start to like doubt what they say or doubt the validity of their words sometimes, because you're like, they're obviously going to say that, or you can almost predict what they're going to say. But with another person, like another partner, it could kind of be like a second witness to like your shitty behavior or something. Like, oh, actually, maybe I do need to change.
Yeah.
It's not just my one partner that's saying it, it's two. So that was the one main benefit I took away from that conversation. But yeah, it just so messy, so complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. I really want to read the book Mating in Captivity.
Oh, I've read that.
Yeah.
It's great.
You liked it?
Yeah, super great.
Yeah.
I loved it. I read it while I was in captivity in 2020.
Nice. So what did you get
Quarantine
from
in the
that
house.
book? I'm curious.
It's been a minute since I read it, but oh gosh. I just remember it being really eye-opening to different dynamics and different ways of thinking about relationship. I wish I could give more specifics, but I can't remember anything.
Did it make you more open-minded to like the polyamory guy, or did it make you just like more aware of
Maybe. I
Yeah.
didn't even put that together. It could be. I don't remember them talking about polyamory in the Mating in Captivity book. But who knows? It could have made me more open-minded
yeah.
to him.
What did you think of the book, Taylor?
I didn't read the whole thing. We listened to maybe one part of one chapter together in the car.
Yeah, I just listen to audiobooks. I don't read any books.
Me too.
Yeah.
I have read some books that are similar to that. I can't remember what they're called, but it was a long time ago. And I myself have kind of like explored that topic like in my own personal life. So, I mean, there's so many different facets of that one label that it's
Yeah.
really hard to be like, I get it. Because there's aspects of like this relationship of this man that he interviewed for the polyamory podcast that I was like, whoa, that is next level, you know, having a family with kids and integrating that. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and so I can't say that that's something that I feel drawn to doing personally. Like, it just sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, I just
cool
feel like I'm too
that
busy. I was
Yeah.
asking him, I mean, he was saying that he has sex like twice a day. I mean, he's got to make the rounds and make sure everybody feels treated fairly and given equal time. And then he also has a full-time job, and he's got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Plus the couple that he's dating has 3.
Yeah.
So he's got like 7 kids, kind of.
Yeah.
And he's got to like manage his own emotions. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, how do you... Every ounce of your waking life is probably just dealt with this, you know?
Yeah.
But
When you say making the rounds, that's what made me say, ugh, just like the duty of it all. Like, that sounds like duty. You
probably
know?
such a
yeah.
poorly way of wording that.
No.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. The emotional side would be a lot. The kids, that's what I think would be just too much, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be hard.
Yeah.
But you have kids.
Yes.
4.
I have 4 kids.
Would it be nice to have like a sister wife to help out with some of that?
You know what? I wouldn't mind living in like a communal village of like, you know, all the back doors, like have this one big giant circular backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And all the mamas just like, you know, it's like, sis, I am having, sister, I am having a shit day. Like, I'm sending the kids in the backyard and like, if you don't watch them, I'm not watching them either. So watch them, you know, I don't know. Just like sharing some of the burden that is
Yeah.
motherhood, you know.
It'd be
I
nice
think-
to have that, but like not like have to share them with your partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
The
sexually.
sister wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could just have a communal backyard where your neighbor,
Yeah.
you just have an agreement where they watch your kids when you're tired and vice versa.
Yeah.
But you don't have to like all sleep with each other.
Yeah.
Because then it just
no.
gets like kind of messy and
Yeah. No, just like old fashioned, like, you know, communal living, like just, I don't know, more community. Yeah.
Yeah.
without the, yeah.
yeah. I mean, Mormonism, they have a background of polygamy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. That's.
I mean, I've lived in a communal setting where the goal was that everyone was partially responsible for the kids. And that
For their
included-
own kids?
for other people's
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Like, it was just more open, and if someone had a crying baby and I was free, I would grab the baby and help out. I mean, I'm a single person, so it was a lot easier, but it did help a lot. It was hard. So the hard part is the boundaries,
Yeah.
because sometimes you're like, well, I had a shit day.
Yeah.
And I need to take care of myself. And sometimes it's easier to take care of your own family and kids than like also taking care of someone else's. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't have kids personally, but like babysitting someone else's kids is always different, I feel like,
Yeah.
because you're like trying to honor their parents' like
Way.
discipline and
Yeah.
their way. And then also like, I don't know, there's like this
Yeah.
different behavior that comes out. And sometimes it's good with the kids and sometimes it's really not.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, it's pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 So, do you like being a mother? Do you? I mean, so when I was talking to Jasmine, the way that this question was sparked. It's because I've had conversations with Jasmine about how she wishes that she maybe waited, like that Warren was her first kid, and that she maybe spaced him out 4 years after that.
Yeah.
Each. Are you happy with the way you did it?
Yes and no. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I would be a mom. I'm smiling because I'm remembering like when we were dating, Ammon.
Yeah. I know, you talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
I did.
I just can't wait to have like a baby. I'm like,
And I was like,
cool.
like very,
just didn't know how to ever respond
I
to that.
cannot wait to be ripe with child.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, we were so Mormon back then.
Yeah,
And we would talk in
yeah.
Mormon terms. I can't wait to be ripe with child.
Oh man.
So embarrassing now. But, like, also, like, I feel like very, like, I don't know, like a very poetic and, like, sweet connection to motherhood,
Yeah,
So-
I mean, you like to write, don't you? Like, you're kind of a very introspective, poetic person at heart.
I think so. I haven't written in a long time. But I do think I'm kind of good at it. So, okay, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I remember like being 8 years old and asking the women in my family, like, what was birth like in my family.
Yeah.
Except for my own mom, they're all like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. Like, get the epidural. Like, yeah, sister, like, you are going to want the epidural. I remember talking to my mom about it. I was like, does it hurt? Talking about everybody. I would ask everybody, did it hurt? And my mom was the only one who didn't have an epidural. And she didn't have one with any of the kids. She had 4 babies. And I was just like, yeah, Mom, I'm getting the epidural. And then, I grew up. And it was always still something I was really interested in. And when I was 16 or 17, I wrote in my journal, I was like, I'm going to have 4 kids, and they're going to come in this order: boy, boy, girl, boy. And they did. Yeah.
Wow.
Every time I had a baby, too, I was like, well, I think it's going to be a boy, but I don't know. Like, I always, like, had to hold room for doubt because I'm like, if I'm just 100% sure, then the universe is going to be like, ha, like, you're wrong, So every time I was like, yeah, like, I think this one's a boy, I think this one's a girl, but I could be wrong. And then Hawkins was a surprise. We didn't know when he came out.
You had no gut feeling.
No, I knew it was a boy.
Oh, but you didn't go get it checked.
Yeah, I didn't get it checked. And and his birth was very climactic in a lot of ways. He was the premature one. And so when he came out, it was just very sweet. I really liked not knowing what he was. Yeah. But anyways, I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but would I want to do it differently, like time-wise? Yes and no. I mean, I think I got married very young. I was 19. I think I had babies very young. I was 20 when I had Beckham. We got pregnant 5 months after we were married. And yeah, sometimes it feels like, I don't know, I could have gained some wisdom or like done some things that I can't do now. But I feel like it was meant to be. I just feel like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that timing.
Yeah.
And I like how I had kids, like, I kind of had kids back to back. When Beckham was 10 months old, I got pregnant. And then when Sawyer was 10 months old, I got pregnant. And then when Oakley was like 18 months old, I got pregnant with her. About 18 months, I can't remember. The only thing I regret about that timeline is like savoring the babies that I had, like when they were babies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to savor a baby when you have
A baby.
Yeah, another one right away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's. Would you think that it's part of the Mormon culture to do that, like to get married really young, have babies super quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel influence from that, or?
Yeah.
But it's also kind of what you wanted.
Yeah. So
those two things just were very complementary to each other.
yeah. Yeah, I do feel like I definitely wanted to be a mom more than a lot of people I knew. but being Mormon just kind of like enhanced that, you know, and like growing up in a way and just like having motherhood.
Just reaffirmed that desire that you already had.
Having motherhood
Makes
like
sense.
idolized in a way, you know. And like my ambition as a young woman was like I would see all these like women that were I looked up to that were Mormon, and it was like they were all like these mothers. It just like, you know, all these
Yeah.
children, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I want that. And now that I have 4 kids, like it's hard. I can see why 2 kids makes way more sense. But also like they're my kids, and like
And you're done having kids. Like Jeremy
Yeah.
had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Can we say that publicly?
yeah.
So now that you have your kids and you're done with that and you're not Mormon anymore,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of things do you think about doing?
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like that's all behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Not to say that you've peaked or that your life is over.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
No.
where else are you ambitious?
Yeah, I definitely haven't peaked in my life yet. Still always blossoming. Blooming.
Budding
Yeah.
and blossoming.
Yes, budding.
Sorry, I keep stalling.
Yeah, you know, I kind of reached a point after we had Hawkins where it was kind of like something was dying, like that, like those childbearing years were like dying and falling away. And it felt really like, I felt really lost. Like, what am I doing with myself and my life, and who am I? And like, and also for Jeremy and I, because we got married so young and in very much a Mormon fashion, like
Yeah.
find the nearest person and marry them. And
The nearest suitable person,
Yeah.
just as long as they're
Eligible.
semi-compatible,
Yeah.
you'll figure it out. Just put the Lord
Yeah.
first. Doesn't really matter who it is.
yeah. And I mean, not, everyone doesn't do it that way. I know that,
Right,
you know,
right.
I know there's Mormon people who like really took their time.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who will.
I won't put a blanket
not
statement.
relate to that, but there are some people that will.
Yes. I don't want to put a blanket statement on it, but I do know a lot of Mormon people who relate to that. Like, yeah, like
Sure.
we got married like for the wrong reasons or whatever. What was I saying?
Just like what that part of you was kind of dying, and how you got married young in a very Mormon
Mm. Yeah.
fashion, and what
Yeah.
you're looking forward to.
Oh yeah, so this is kind of jumping around, but when Jeremy and I got married, we should have Jeremy on the podcast, like Jeremy and I together sometime, because I
Yeah,
want to
I'd
give
love
him
that.
like, you know, I don't want to tell too much of our story without him having the opportunity.
I
to,
know
like,
that's.
yeah,
I always have a hard time. People sometimes I'll get into topics of like that are sexual in nature.
Yeah.
And Taylor's not here. I'm like, I mean, the only person I'm doing it with is Taylor, so I don't really know how much of it I can share. I
Yeah.
can share, I guess, my experience, but
yeah, just to
just-
give the
it's
other
just hard.
person a voice to be like,
Yeah.
well, this is how I felt, you know. But
Yeah.
I know Jeremy felt this way. We talk about it often. Is when we got married, we were not in love. It wasn't like, I'm in love with you, let's get married.
Really?
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Okay. And so to back up even further, excuse me. I have a really bad habit of doing. Jeremy, I feel like Jeremy's gonna listen.
Don't even think about
Okay,
it. Don't
okay.
even think about it. I'm always like, God, I said liked way too many
Yeah.
times, or I have
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Okay.
or ramble and stumble.
Okay, so to back up even further, when I was in high school, I wasn't very Mormon. My family was kind of inactive, and on and off throughout my upbringing. When I was in high school, I wasn't very Mormon. I went through a phase of trying to be Mormon, and then I didn't anymore. I like went back to being.
Were you known as like the
secular.
party girl in high school?
I was a party girl, yeah. But my group we were all party girls.
Ashland High.
Yeah, good times. I'm still friends with all those girls, and like they feel like home, you know, like it feels like people who've seen me and known me for so long. So I really value that. Anyways,
How many times have you kind of like gone in and out of the church life?
so in high school, I remember I like tried to become really like dedicated, and like I just felt like a conviction to like commit to Mormonism. I think in my junior year, and like over my sophomore summer, I was a sophomore, but going into being a junior, I was trying to be Mormon that summer, and then the beginning of my junior year, I remember I was in charter school. You and I had dated that summer.
Yeah, I remember because when I met you, you were super Mormon.
Yeah, super Mormon.
And so was I. I mean, I was getting ready to go on a mission.
Yeah. I had kind of dumped my friends in a way, like totally ridding myself of everything that wasn't,
Yeah.
that I didn't feel fit into the Mormon lifestyle.
Why?
Yeah, I think,
Purge.
yeah,
Why did you go back?
I think I just, it was maybe a need to be pleasing to my family in a way.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't know though, but I
Yeah.
also just I just remember at the time I felt a conviction to I need to do this. But I think it's the stem of it came from wanting to be pleasing to my family. Also, my parents had just gone through a divorce. It was just kind of a mix up, kind of everything was kind of shaken
I didn't realize
up.
it was
Yeah.
right around then.
They got divorced when I was a freshman, and then life was just kind of
Oh, okay.
shaken up. Yeah.
Because I knew that he'd remarried recently when I met you.
Yeah.
Started dating or married Katrina. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was in charter school when I was a junior. It's this outdoor school thing. We would go on these long backpacking trips for 2 weeks at a time. I loved that. I
The
feel
Wilderness
so
Charter
fun.
School.
yes, I feel that shaped me a lot.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of programs like that in high school. And I grew up in a place that was just completely in the woods. I feel that really raised part of me. Okay, but I'm really jumping around a lot. So,
It's okay. I'm asking you a lot of
Okay.
questions that are prompting that.
okay.
It's my fault.
So in charter school, I met Kyle, and he was my first real love.
Oh yeah, you guys know. You have a mutual friend from the charter school.
Oh,
His name starts with an E. What is it again?
Elliot.
Elliot. Yeah, you guys both know Elliot.
Gosh,
Elliot?
Elliot Merrill. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a kindredness with Elliot. Mention Rylee and
I
he'll-
never see him.
Well, I saw
It's,
him one
really
time
random.
at SOU
Uh-huh.
with Taylor, and he came up to me, shook my hand. He's like, "Hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah,
I know you through Rylee, and I know you also through Taylor." And
Yeah.
she was like, "Yeah, this is my friend Elliot."
that's so cool.
It's like, "Yeah, I know of you."
Yeah, he's one of the few people from my high school days. And I say few when I mean maybe 15 people. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel I've always felt a connection to Elliot, and our birthdays are one day apart. And we dated for a second, and yeah,
We always had good talks, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like he's more emotionally available as a person
yeah,
for most guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah, so we were talking about in and out of the church,
Yeah.
and then you were
Kyle.
Kyle.
Yeah. So he was my first real love. I had one other guy that I kind of was my first really young love, but I was 12. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it count? I don't really know. But Ashland's a small place. We were connected for a long time. But anyways, going back to Kyle. So I was I can't be Mormon anymore. I gotta date this guy. So yeah, we dated, and that was a huge formative relationship for me. I kind of lived with them on and off. I kind of lived with them mostly, and then I would go to my house on the weekends and stuff. Because driving up the hill was super inconvenient and expensive, and at the time, my mom didn't care, and I became really close with his family. His mom and I are still she's my other mom, and my relationship with her is very formative too, Kimberly. And so we dated for a while, and then almost 2 years, and then I was working at the shop, the jewelry store, with your dad,
Oh, nice.
Dane.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And we would talk about church stuff all the time, and I wasn't going to church, and your dad is always just yeah, you know,
Missionary work.
yeah. And I just remember the tone of his voice, and just man, Rylee, you just gotta go back to church.
Dude, you do such a good Dane.
And so I remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, like I had just graduated. He was a year younger than me, Kyle was, and I was just like, where is my life going? Like, I don't know. Like, I know I want to be a mom. Like, I don't know if I want to go to college. Like, what would I do? Like, I just want to be a mom. And Kyle was like, well, I don't want to have babies. He was still in high school. I didn't want to have babies then. I was just like, like, this is what I want out of life, And he's like, I'm not having babies till I'm like 27 at least. And I was just like,
all right, we're
not
done.
happening.
We're done, bitch.
Yeah. But it was really, really hard. Like, I felt like I needed to go back to church, and I kind of told him about it. And he was kind of like, yeah, like, do what you need to do. So I was like, okay. And I was like, well, this means we can't have sex anymore. Like, this means, like, all these things. Like, I can't live with you guys anymore. And for him, that was like, whoa, like, what? Like,
it's like, these are all deal breakers.
and he was like, he's like, you want to choose the church over me? And I was like, well, come to the church with me. And I was just like,
you're like, well, no, I want you to come, but
yeah.
I guess, if you're not going to come.
Yeah, so I was just like, be Mormon with me. And I was like, come on. And he was
Did
like...
he ever go with you to church?
Yeah, he went to church with me once. And actually, he, like, came to talk to the bishop with me once, like, about kind of, like, learning about stuff.
Taylor came to church with me a couple times when we first started dating.
Yeah.
Twice.
That's
definitely not in the same energy as Kyle.
Yeah.
I was like, I will not convert, but I will come.
I will come because I love you, and I guess I'm curious, but I'm wearing a shirt and tie and pants, and I'm bringing coffee.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it was,
Nice.
I mean, it's just so fascinating because I'd studied religion in college.
You looked great, and you smelled great.
Oh.
Smelled like coffee.
But no, the reason why I was open to going was just because it's not something I'm going to prescribe to doesn't mean that it's something that I can't hold space for because it's good for other people. Like,
Yeah.
And I wanted to meet your family and like show up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like compartmentalized.
Also, that makes me feel really good.
Yeah. I mean,
That you're willing to hold space for that, for where I was in my life.
Yeah, and that's a big part of like who you are in that moment, where I'm not gonna like romanticize your potential of not being Mormon. I'm gonna be like, okay, what's the reality of me being able to accept this when I don't? I mean, there's basic things like that would get in the way of a relationship that you're building with someone, because obviously you're not gonna like have a drink with me.
I remember you were
and,
like, you're like, when are we gonna have sex? We'd been dating for like a month. And I was like, not till we're married. Like, I'm not gonna do
Really?
it. Yeah,
well,
we've
I
been
wasn't
dating
sure
for a
with
month.
him because
And then she was like, so when are we getting married?
Yeah.
God damn.
Whoa.
And it was pretty funny.
Jeremy and I had sex before we got married.
Nice.
high five.
And I have this relationship with guilt. I'm just like, as soon as it happened, I was just like, oh my gosh, we have to talk to the bishop. Like, right, like let's text him right now.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot hold this guilt, and I've always been that way. Like, with
Dude, guilt
guilty stuff.
sucks.
It sucks. And two, being raised in the church, like, you have a relationship with shame too, like a very
I feel like
close
every time
relationship with shame.
I talk about shame or guilt publicly on the podcast, you always text me.
Really?
You're like, I love that episode. Like, I love the part about guilt. Maybe only like twice. I'm probably exaggerating.
Yeah.
And then you recommended that book from
Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called again? Daring Greatly. Yeah, I read that book and it was all about guilt and shame.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I think that guilt and shame are, you just have to learn how to have a healthy relationship with them.
Yeah.
How to put them in their place. But there was a question that I asked you earlier.
Okay.
Oh yeah, about like where you see yourself
I'm getting
going.
there. I'm getting there. Okay. This is a journey. Okay. That's a story. Okay. So I was dating Kyle. I was like, I've got to do something with my life. I want to be a mom. So do you want to become Mormon? He's like, no, don't blame you now. I'm like, Kyle, I don't blame you. So super hard, like, tore myself away from him. It was like we were in love. We didn't want to break up. It was like we did. Like, I was like, well, I want this, and I'm choosing the church over you.
Yeah.
And his mom was just like, yeah, it was like you divorced all of us. Like, we were heartbroken. It was like
sad.
super, super hard. Like,
You and her have a relationship now still?
we do. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. She'll always be like one of my moms. But we see each other pretty often. So that was like a huge heartbreak to leave that relationship. But I was just like, God, like, send me someone better,
And then Ammon walked through the door.
No, that was
Oh my
Kyle
gosh.
was post post Ammon.
Yeah, you were post Ammon.
And then
yeah.
Jeremy walked through the door?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, but one thing that's weird that's happened is when I was dating Kyle, I had a dream about me being a mom. I had a dream. I had these 2 little boys, and they had blonde hair and blue eyes. And I remember waking up and being like, I cannot have blonde hair and blue-eyed kids with you, Kyle, because he's Portuguese and he has like brown hair.
And then you started
brown
writing me
eyes.
on my mission.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I know.
Then you found Jeremy, and he's just like a
Yeah.
bigger version,
Yeah.
a bigger, more confident, manly version of me.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh.
No, I don't think that he's more confident than you. I think, I don't know.
A lot of the
Maybe you
confidence
guys
that I've
are.
learned and gained is because of him.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah, I feel like him and I are very similar. Like that Vegas
Yeah.
trip we went on.
Yeah.
Man, I think about it all the time.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Wow.
I thought,
He-
yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah,
Like,
you
we-
and go ahead.
No, please.
You
go
and
ahead.
Jeremy do have like a really, I love your guys' connection, your friendship.
We're both just very open
Mm-hmm.
and emotional
Yeah.
and insecure and filled with anxiety and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And also, there's positive things in there, right?
Yeah, like we're both very ambitious. We're both risk takers.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of both pretty judgy.
Negative. Come on now.
Oh, sorry.
Handsome.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I mean,
You think you're
we just get
judgy?
I think I'm kind of judgy. Yeah,
Really?
I'm trying to be less judgy.
I don't think Jeremy is very judgy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
maybe I just misinterpret whatever that quality is.
Well, I think
in me
you
and
guys,
him.
if
There's
I
something
can,
similar there between him and me.
well, you guys get together and you talk shit, and it's like your outlet, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
you
that's
can hold
true.
space for each
I'll
other.
text him like, "Hey, dude, do you want to just get together and just talk shit?"
Oh my
It's like,
gosh.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's like really healing.
And
for
we're not
you.
like gossiping. We're just like talking shit about
Yeah.
just life
Sure.
and stuff
Yeah.
and politics and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. I don't know. And we just,
Yeah.
whenever we get together, we're just very open with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We just, I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah.
We talk about things that we probably can't talk about on a podcast.
That's good though. You gotta have people you can talk to about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so
So then Jeremy walked into your life.
Yes, Jeremy walked into my life. And I had dated like another Mormon kid guy who was one of Jeremy's good friends, but it was like, no, we're not compatible at all.
Mormon kid guy? What is
Steve.
that? Oh, Steve. Whoa, that's a kid guy is not the way I'd explain. Describe Steve.
Guy, man, kid? I don't know.
Just man hunk.
Wait, Steve Jorgensen?
Yeah, you know
Oh
him,
my god,
don't
I
you?
have heard so much about him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Everyone's infatuated, and I'm like, I don't.
Including me.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I love Steve now. At the time, though, we were just not. I was just like, no, I need someone who's really emotionally available more than he was at that time.
Well, Steve was in a very different place, I'm sure,
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, and I had just come out of this relationship that I didn't want to leave, and anyways, so I dated Steve for like a second.
I
Like,
didn't know you dated him.
we went on dates.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't. Yeah. Like no.
Okay.
We weren't like together. And then he was hanging out with Jeremy too, and so I was around Jeremy a lot, and it was kind of just like, yeah, like this isn't working out between you and me, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Jeremy and I started hanging out, and
I'm gonna date your friend.
yeah, so
Sorry, Steve.
yeah,
You broke the code, and I guess so did, well, I guess,
yeah,
well, I don't know. I guess you weren't really with Steve, so.
yeah. Okay,
Sorry,
so
go ahead. I keep derailing you.
it's okay. I remember, you know, Jeremy and I would go on really long drives and just like talk, and this is where I feel like I should have Jeremy here to be able to talk about this a lot. But
Yeah. I'm just going to check this microphone over here. I mean, this
Okay.
camera.
Okay.
To make sure it's not just focusing on your
head.
microphone the entire time.
all right, maybe I could like lower it a little bit.
I can also adjust the focus if it is. Yeah. Maybe like scoot the microphone over a tiny bit.
Okay, like that.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Perfect.
Can you guys still hear me good?
Yeah, I just had to take these off because they're hurting my head.
Wow, yeah. They
Yeah.
kind of like make my cheeks kind of like I don't know.
Squished.
Like press on like the lymph nodes and
It
stuff.
always just hurts the top of my head right here.
Oh yeah, don't you have like a tumor in your cheek too?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I do. How did you remember that?
You showed it to me when we were dating.
I
You
showed
like
it to
you
you.
like would
Wait,
hang
was
your
there-
cheek and it would like sag.
Oh my gosh!
It looked like a
Wow,
golf ball in
how
your mouth.
how cute of me to show you that. Yeah, like when I like bend over and stuff, like it like this cheek becomes like more like just like it feels just like it's like full of blood. Like if you were to do a headstand and like your head gets like full of blood, like it feels like that in my cheek like when I bend over to like grab
Weird.
something. I hate it. I tried to get it removed one time, but it was a horrible experience. And didn't work. Like afterwards, the surgeon was like, "Yeah, you really should have been asleep for that, and I'm really sorry." Yeah.
Yikes! How terrible.
And when he was trying to get it, he was like, "I'm really sorry. This is just like trying to get a slippery watermelon seed." And I was just like, like,
Yeah, don't talk.
"You're not making me feel better."
God, knock me out.
He sounds off.
Yeah. So
Well, continue.
Now
I'm just
I'm-
gonna move this camera again.
Okay.
I'm not happy with where it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep telling your story. I'm listening. I've got the headphones on.
yeah, okay. So, yeah, Jeremy and I know we had a good time together, but I also know like Jeremy back then, like he will admit it on the podcast, like he was kind of a little bit of a jerk back then to girls, maybe.
Was he like a hotshot guy that all the girls were like into?
I don't know. I
Jeremy's
really
super
didn't-
hot.
Jeremy is super handsome. He's a
I
real.
love his strong brow.
But I mean, like,
He's
not
real man piece.
physically speaking, it's a persona and like an energy, you know? Like,
Yeah. You know, he's a suave guy, and I don't think he
Oh.
realizes it. You know, he's like just got so many elements that are desirable. You know. Yeah. What?
breaking down the formula.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just love the way that you said that.
What?
He has so many elements that are desirable.
He's totally not forgettable. So he was kind of a jerk back then, and I don't know.
Like, what do you mean by jerk? I think that's what I want to know. I'm like, what
I
does
don't-
it mean to be a jerk?
It was so long ago. I just remember feeling like sometimes the way he would treat me, I was just like, this is not what I like accept. Like do not treat me that way, you know? And I had just come out of this relationship that was pretty like emotionally like we were very emotionally like present, and I don't know. This Kyle's mom was like really beyond her years in so many ways, and so I feel like Kyle got some of that. And then dating Jeremy, he, I don't know, like we all in our youth were stupid, you know, in some ways. What you doing, Ammon?
Oh,
I'm just trying to find. Dead.
What is it?
it's a power
just
bank.
this-
His
Yeah.
Oh,
camera died.
No, it's still going. It's just it might die later, but it's fine.
yeah, it's fine.
So
Okay.
Yeah. So Jeremy.
Okay, yeah. And we kept dating, and I don't know.
Well,
like,
when you guys
I
are
remember my
when you're not in love,
yeah.
you said that at the beginning of your marriage you weren't even in love, really.
Why didn't
Yeah.
you charge the power bank now so you can plug it in?
That's a
Oh,
good
it's-
idea.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks.
No stress.
I need a studio, Rylee. This is outrageously unorganized.
It's all good. So
Do you think that you treated Jeremy badly too, or would you say that?
I know I have a very we'll see what Jeremy has to say, like maybe one day on the podcast, but I think I have a very like peacemaking, like desire to please, desire to like hold who Jeremy is, you know, and I think that came out. But like when he would piss me off, like I would tell him, I'd be like, don't treat me that way, like, you know.
Yeah, you seem pretty assertive.
In some ways, yeah. And I that side of me is like maybe with my friends I'm not that way as much, but with
Yeah.
Jeremy, like I definitely am assertive. And I can be with my friends too. I don't know.
I'm very much. Well, I am
It's
now,
okay
but
to
I
be.
didn't used to be assertive at all,
Yeah.
which I kind of attribute to the destruction of my divorce.
Yeah. I think I'm both. I think it's okay to be more than one thing. Like, I don't have to say that I'm assertive or that I'm like a pleasing person. Because I definitely am both at different times.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we kind of all can be that way.
Yes. I really don't like, I don't know, categories. I feel so many polarizing personality traits. Like, I feel like I'm introverted, but I also feel like I'm so extroverted. So
Yeah.
many things like that, just polarizing. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think we all are. But I remember dating Jeremy, and my family was like, "Do you love Jeremy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Do you love Jeremy as much as Kyle?" And I was like, "Yes."
Just like
And-
that.
Yeah, like, yeah.
You can pull that microphone closer to your mouth now
Okay.
that I moved the thing.
And where is the camera now?
It's right here.
Oh. And I remember having feelings when we were dating, just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy.
When you were dating Jeremy?
When I was dating Jeremy, yeah. And then, okay, when we first got married, Jeremy just wanted to divorce me. Like, he had, like, feelings of disgust for me. Because, like, at the time, like, I was just figuring out, like, stuff. And I had this job where I didn't always have to be there. So, anyways, I was kind of like a slob a little bit. And I would stay at home and play Sims all day. Like,
Weird. So random.
so, like, I can't blame him for feeling feelings of disgust towards me. But
You know how I know you guys are really good for each other now,
What?
though?
What?
Is because you guys both think that each other are really funny.
yeah.
I know that about Jeremy because he'll be like, dude, Ammon, let me show you this video. And it's just a video of you,
Aw.
like, drunk at a party doing something hilarious.
Yeah.
He just cracks up laughing. He'll just sit there on his
Yeah.
bench, just watch it over and over.
That's so cute.
He thinks you are hilarious.
I think Jeremy's hilarious. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be able to laugh with your partner. Yeah.
It's like a huge green flag.
I tell Jeremy all the time, I'm like, he'll say something, I'm like, that was so funny. How did you think of that?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love his sense of humor.
Yeah, he's really,
Yeah.
really witty.
Yeah. Okay, so now to move on to the positive part of our love story.
We should just title this episode Jeremy.
Yeah. I became pregnant, and I remember like the day I found out I was pregnant, he was telling Steve, we were house sitting and we were with Steve, and he was like, yeah, man, I just like want to divorce Rylee sometimes, like, yeah. And I was like, I'm pregnant.
With our first child.
Yeah, and Jeremy is like totally like definitely wouldn't like shirk his, like responsibilities or
Yeah.
duties. Like he's very
I don't know him. Probably I know him the least out of both of you, and I would definitely agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very like
Super responsible.
before he owned the shop, like when he worked for my dad, he was just like, I got to be at work on time, and like sorry you're having a bad morning, but I got to leave right now. Like I'm going to be on time to work, Anyways, he's very like responsible and dutiful. So when I got pregnant, it was like, we became like a team. And then when I had like gave birth, it was just like a sinking in of like, our commitment to each other and this like family. And, like we just became such a good team. And also when I gave birth, Jeremy has said that he saw something in me that he hadn't seen before, that he really wanted to see, which was like, I don't know what he would say now, like if he were sitting on the couch, but just like strength or grit, or like, this girl who would sit on the couch and play Sims just like gave birth in such like a badass way.
No epidural or epidural?
No epidural. No.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I never had an epidural. And maybe now we can, anyway, so Jeremy and I feel like are very good for each other. We are.
You've been together for 11 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
That's incredible.
And we definitely go through our ups and downs. And, but I feel like we really hold space for each other just to be human. And I just love him so much. I know I would be like hard pressed to find anyone like as well-rounded and good for me as Jeremy is.
Yeah.
We're very good for each other. But maybe unless it comes up naturally again, we can leave our marriage stuff like there because I feel like he should be here. You know?
Yeah.
Does
Totally.
that seem
Yeah.
reasonable?
And we've given him so many compliments. He's probably going to be bursting with
Bursting.
bursting with
Bursting.
happiness.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. I know you have a journey of this story where it's going.
Okay.
But I'm trying to hold on to the beginning of it. I'm starting to lose it.
Okay.
So the beginning of the story started when I asked when you had kids, and then if you felt like a part of your life died, and then now what?
Yeah.
Like what's next?
So
And then we've gone through like
Yeah.
wilderness charter school, Kyle,
Yeah,
Jeremy,
yeah.
marriage, ups and downs, and
Yeah.
now
okay, so we're right where we need to be.
perfect. The setup has been made.
Okay. So yeah, and this was about maybe 18 months ago, a year ago. I kind of reached a point where I was like, whoa, Hawkins, my baby, is almost 4, he's just getting older. And what is my life about now? Like, I only ever wanted to be a mom and like have children, and like I'm done having babies, and like
Yeah, what's that like
what?
emotionally? Like that realization.
Yeah, it was hard. And it also, like, for Jeremy and I, it was like, okay, like, we became a team when we became parents, like, together. That's, like, when we really fell in love.
So where's the glue now?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
that has been the glue that has held us together, is, like, having these babies and, like, the intensity of, like, young parenthood and birth. And, like, we're not doing that now. So, like, what now? We started going to, like, couples counseling then. And, I was just like really wanting to make sure that we were going to grow together. And I'm like always reading a bunch and listening to podcasts. And like, I was just like, Jeremy, like, I just want you to read a book with me. Like, and so we can talk about it. Like, I feel like,
You just want to connect with
yeah,
him.
really connect on something other than like parenthood.
Would you
Nice.
consider, I don't know if you've heard of the attachment styles, but would you
Yeah.
consider yourself more of the anxious in the dynamic?
I know I've read about this before. I know what Enneagram type I am, and I know
What is
a
what is
2.
it? Hey girl, hey.
Are you a 2?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Your face. Oh my God, you do.
I know of one other 2, and then I really know one other 2. She's one of my close friends. But other than that, like I don't know many 2s.
Yeah.
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 That's
Hey.
amazing.
Yeah.
I see you.
I know. Oh my God, we do so much.
Oh,
But it's got
what did I-
attachments to everything.
Yeah. So
Kidding.
is it an anxious attachment style, like wanting to please people, like feeling?
Well, I feel like the anxious is more the one to check in and make sure that things
Yeah.
are okay than
Yep.
the avoidant, which just assumes that things are fine until they're not, and then when they're not, you're like,
Yeah.
peace.
Okay.
And so you sound like very proactive,
Yeah.
like looking and seeking. And I would say between Ammon and I, he's more anxious, and I'm the avoidant.
Oh.
And
I thought I was
so-
avoidant because I always leave when things get like.
Wait,
No.
who's the confronter?
Probably Taylor. I've become more.
What?
I've become more comfortable with confrontation as I've become more assertive and more mature, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, something I can always count on, and I've talked to my therapist about this too, is that Ammon, it's not a matter of like if you come with a confrontational energy, it's that you bring it up first
Yeah.
because you
Oh.
say, I'm having this feeling,
Yeah.
and then you bring it to me, where the avoidant doesn't do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so-
I guess what I mean by avoidant is like when things get heated and it's stressful. I'm comfortable with confrontation when it's a peaceful environment, but when things get like when we start raising our voices, not that we ever really do to each other, but
Happens.
when it gets a little heated, I'm like, I gotta go collect my thoughts, sit with these emotions and I was talking to Angie on the podcast about this yesterday. I have a hard time identifying what the emotion is that I'm feeling and then articulating that in words. And so I end up just like repeating myself over and over, giving multiple different analogies and metaphors of what I'm feeling. And I doubt the picture that I'm painting of myself, if it's accurate or not. And so I need like time to
Yeah.
sit with it and consider
Yeah.
and
It's a
talk
good
to other
thing.
people to develop
Yeah.
a full
Yeah.
thought.
I'd say Jeremy is very similar. Yeah. In that way too.
Yeah.
he is very much conflict avoidant. He's a 9, so they're all about like non-confrontation.
My best friend is a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like an interesting duo. I'm the 2, which is the helper, and I just want to be like pleasing, and I want to be loved so bad, and I like want to make sure.
Do.
Yes, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure that like all my relationships are good, like, and he is a peacemaker, the 9, and very non-confrontational. Very, Jasmine's a 9.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like wanting to avoid things that are uncomfortable, and yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you asking me again? Oh, attachment style.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm maybe anxious. Yeah, always coming to. I definitely am the one in the marriage that's like confronting things. I'm like, okay, we need to deal with this. Like, okay, like we need to talk about this.
Yeah, that's me.
Like doing the kind of like bringing up the hard stuff.
Like checking in and being like, hey,
Yeah, I do that too.
you know, are we good?
Yeah.
I feel like
And
that's...
you feel like you avoid doing that.
Yeah, because I'm just like, well, until it's not good, like it'll be obvious to me.
Well, whenever I start bringing up issues, Taylor's like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to do this. Now I'm mad that we have to process.
Well, it's
And I also bring it up
because-
at really bad times, I will admit.
Well-
Like first thing in the morning, while we're trying to go to sleep, right before she has to go to work. Like, hey, can we have this deep, long conversation about my struggle with you?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's not to discount like your struggle with me, but sometimes it's like there's not, to me, it feels like there's not much to say. It's like, okay, we are having this difference of opinion or this difference of experience, and we can like figure out a solution, but it's not always needed to have an emotional process about
Yeah.
something. And so sometimes when it happens a lot, then I just am like, what are we even fighting about? What's even happening anymore? Like,
Yeah, true.
yeah, and it's not like neither one is good or bad. I mean, my therapist would probably say the avoidant is the pain in the ass. Because
So would I.
But yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am the anxious attachment. I've always been like, are you mad? Like to my dad, I would say that.
Yes.
Like, Dad, are you mad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Like,
pretty sensitive to energetic stuff happening.
yeah.
Like, give me validation. Reassure me that you still
Yeah.
love me, that you're going to stay.
Yeah.
But maybe, I feel like, at least I have attributed that to just past experience.
Yeah.
When you've had, I don't know, people leave or you've had things happen where you just need to feel secure. So,
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm insecure in our marriage or anything. I'm just like, I just want everyone to be happy. I don't know. I'm just like, are you angry? Like, did I do something? Like, I want to make sure like that he's happy with me. Like, with like, did I do something to upset you? Like, do we need to talk about this? Because if there
Yeah.
ever is a problem, I want to solve it like right now. I'm like, let's solve this. Like, let's put it behind us, you know?
Same.
yeah, that's Taylor.
Yeah.
What can I do? I'm like, no,
It's
just-
interesting. I
just
really
listen
relate
to
to-
my feelings.
I really relate to both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it must be hard to be you because I feel like we are so different. You just have like these battling opposites inside of one being.
Yeah, maybe we need to talk more so I can decide who I really agree with more.
Yeah.
No, but I can see
also,
that. I'm
too,
relating to you with some of the things
Yeah.
you're saying, and I can see how you two are alike.
Some
Yeah.
of them I feel like are just human in general, not like, it's hard to be like, what are you? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it does change over time. Like, I feel like in past relationships, I would behave differently and be, oh my gosh, anxious all of a sudden. And it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? And this person's like super over there, you know, just like
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Right.
Can I go to the
Oh yeah, please go ahead. It's upstairs.
you don't have to raise your hand. You
Well,
just say what you're doing.
I forgot we're on
Yeah.
camera. I'm like, just
Yeah, it's just
Cue that out.
upstairs.
Okay.
And
To your
there's the
right.
only
Okay.
door up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goose is in there. He might try and snuggle you.
If
I
he
have a-
comes out, it's fine.
I have a small bladder like you have.
Yeah. I am actually really impressed that I haven't peed yet. I didn't pee the entire episode yesterday.
Wow, bladder
It's
control.
amazing. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm amazing.
High five.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to get you some more comfortable headphones, babe.
Oh, do you have another pair?
No, I sent those ones back because I'm
Oh, okay.
trying to save up
Cool.
for headphones.
I also could just get my own. So Hockey Bear, she's just napping with us. So sweet.
Yeah, I really want to do an episode with you, babe, where we talk about like this kind of thing, like how we're so opposite in these specific ways, our attachment styles. And, you know, would you be interested in that?
Yeah.
Talk about our divorce and stuff, our divorces, not our divorce from each other,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I'd be into it. I feel like I'm in a much better place to talk about it now, even from like a year or two ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Am I being too distracting with Rylee?
I mean, your guys' banter, sometimes I'm just like, I can't interject.
I know, it's a lot.
No, it's good. I feel like you guys have really good banter with each other, and you have history. Like, you've known each other for so long. I think it's really cool. I don't think anything is wrong with how you guys are being at all. It's very cool. I feel like bad because I'm like, should I be here?
No, I love the things you're adding. I feel like it's really good, really helpful.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I think that it would be fun to talk about that in an episode.
Yeah, I'm super down.
Maybe
Does that light have a fan in it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It keeps it cool.
That's awesome.
Maybe if Canyon and Trinity don't come over tonight for the episode, we could just do one.
Okay.
Change clothes so it looks like a different day.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing one today.
Cool.
Yeah, since it's out, so you don't have to put it away.
Dude, I need a studio. This took me like an hour to set up yesterday, and I was like, I'm not taking it down. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When would be a good time for me to bring up like gripes or like emotions and feelings?
Like in this conversation?
No, like in general with you. When I have like something or an emotion to bring up and I just want to like process it with you, because some of the things and some of the emotions or issues I have in relationship that are regarding you are things I don't want to talk about with other people, you know? And that's kind of a way that I develop and figure out what I'm feeling. And so I only want to bring it up with you, but talking about it with you, your main tendency is just to go straight to logic mode and try and fix it, but I don't even know exactly what it is I'm struggling with sometimes. So
I mean, my main thing is just like not first thing in the morning or when we're going to bed, and just being intentional and saying, hey, and being clear.
Microphone.
Like,
can you scoot closer to that microphone or pull it closer to you, Taylor?
Oh,
you have such
sure.
a quiet little mouse voice.
Okay. I think it would just be to be intentional and say, hey, this is what's happening for me. I'd really like to talk about this, and I just need to talk. Like, I don't need solutions. I just want you to hear me out.
Having like a disclaimer at the beginning, or
okay. Yeah, and you're not always going to know. You know, you just do your best, and sometimes it's going to be something where you're like, this cannot wait.
Yeah.
You know, that's just life. But it's more of just like an overarching pattern where it's not happening like every day or like
first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's back.
Oh yeah, let me turn your camera back on.
Do you need to plug the thing
in? No, it's still got 75% battery.
Nice.
So after you had kids, you wanted to, like you were like, okay, Jeremy, let's like read a book together. Let's do something together. Let's find some hobbies or something, because we're not making any more kids.
Yeah.
Our neighbor snipped your pipes. Let's.
So what is working for you guys? How are you doing that?
Yeah. Jeremy read like 15 books last year.
Wow.
Yeah. And he loves reading now. He like really loves books, and we talk about books all the time, and I feel like reading is like you can experience like a different life and like a different world inside of a book, and it makes you grow and like experience things and makes you feel a whole range of emotions that help you evolve, and that's super important to like a marriage or a relationship, is to always feel like you're growing and evolving and
working on yourself.
Yeah, and just like rediscovering yourself, you know, like with or through the other person. I don't know. I think that's one thing that relationships
or alongside
do
the
for
other
us.
person.
Yeah. Is to like help you discover yourself, you know, and like we just want to be known. And if someone becomes like stagnant and stops growing, like it's really hard to, I don't know, like,
it's easy to get bored. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're really good at that, Taylor, at making sure that I'm like growing. Like I've said this before in the podcast, but you were like not the catalyst, but you definitely were like the speed booster for me to like get more in touch with myself and to feel like I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And just to say what I actually want. And you're good at like allowing that desire and want to follow through, even in small things. Like if I want to go to a specific place for dinner, you're like, all right, let's go to that place, rather than like overriding it. Yeah, you're good at that.
Thanks. It feels nice when someone supports what you want.
Yeah.
I feel like
it really does.
I know what it's like to not have that. And so to be able to do that for yourself without anyone else doing it for you is like the ultimate thing. And then it feels really good to be able to help someone else do that.
True.
It's pretty fulfilling. Yeah.
Yeah. So you and Jeremy have been doing that?
Yeah, Jeremy's really good at supporting my what I want. Yeah, so one thing we do together is we raft. That's like one thing we both love doing. And during the
Didn't
summer,
you get like a certification?
me?
Yeah, like you got your license or something?
That's a no?
No, I
What?
didn't.
I thought you got some kind of like a...
No.
I thought that's what you said in your text to me. Like you wanted to talk about rowing or rafting. Or...
Oh no, I became like a rower. Like I rowed my boat.
Oh, I thought... Okay.
Yeah.
And rower as in like a river rower, or a rower as in like a... Because there's like the rowing
Yeah.
like community.
Yeah. No, I became a rower of a river.
Okay, there we go. Gotcha.
Of the river, yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, we raft together, we read books together. I don't know, we talk about all kinds of stuff all the time. We both like to, I like to ski, he snowboards. And so I feel like we've like gotten a grip of like, I just had a freak out moment after having kids. It was just like, oh my gosh, like what's coming for us? And I've always wanted Jeremy to like be more conscious of his health and stuff. Cause I'm like, I want to be old and like be hiking with you. Like, you know, I don't want to like leave you in the dust and like have me be this person who does all these things, or have you hold me back from doing these things because you're not able to do them or whatever. So I feel like Jeremy really is health conscious. Sometimes that's easier for him than other times, but yeah, he's been doing like CrossFit and eating really pretty healthy, and he just sprained his ankle right before we went to Disneyland.
Really?
So that sucked.
Oh, dang.
How did he do that? CrossFit?
At CrossFit, yeah. Like doing squats with a sandbag or something. No, not squats. He was carrying the sandbag back to where it goes, and he stepped on another sandbag, and like his ankle like touched the floor. He's like, yeah.
Man, him and Jesse have been trying to get me to go, and I just don't. I have like this aversion for CrossFit because I feel like it's...
Go so hard?
You just go so hard.
Yeah.
And because it's a community, almost like a culty type of a thing.
Yeah.
You feel like you have to just like keep up and push yourself harder than you typically would.
Yeah.
And I'm of the mindset where health and exercise and working out should be a lifelong thing. Like you're in it for the long game. The best workout is the one that you just do.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. So if you're consistent, but you can't be consistent if you're destroying your body trying to fit
the only
into
time
this.
I've ever felt like I was going to throw up after a workout.
Yeah.
Besides cycling in a dark room with very bad ventilation.
Jeremy had that same experience with CrossFit. Like the first couple of times he did it, he like almost puked. And like my brother like almost shit his pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
I shit my pants the other day.
Wow.
Didn't plan on saying that on the podcast, but I did. Yeah.
You just thought it was a fart and it was just a little bit more?
Yeah. It was karma.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I love you.
But I had taken, I was taking this new supplement, and it's right over there, and it just like gave me the runs, but at least I was home, you know. I was at the house, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go jump in the shower.
That's crazy.
I'm really derailing this conversation. Let's get back on track.
Let's go back. So
I can handle poop talk. It's okay.
Okay.
she's
good.
had 4 babies.
Okay.
So you guys have found things to do together that are really connecting the two of you, and you're still like amongst that finding yourself. And so like outside of being a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, or whatever, like who is Rylee?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am 2 years into completing my certification to be a birth doula.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And that is like my next thing that I will launch at, in becoming Rylee, like becoming like who I am that's not a mom.
Yeah.
And I really love birth. And when I had Beckham, I had a doula, and it completely changed my experience. It was the best thing that could have happened for me. I remember just feeling like, your nurses come and go. Jeremy's there, but like your spouse or your partner is there, but may not be prepared to support you in the way that you need to be supported. But a doula is just like this powerful woman that's just like knowing and like believing in birth, and so comforting to first time moms especially, but like I had a doula with my first 3 kids and really loved it. And I really love and believe in birth. So it just feels like the right thing for me. Sometimes I question becoming a doula because the hours aren't very good.
Middle of the night, always.
Yeah.
The hours aren't good.
On call. Can't do anything out of
Yeah.
30 minutes
Yeah.
range. Yeah.
I've been at births for my certification. I've been at like a total of like 11 births, I think. Not all as a doula, but like as a bystander or just like whatever. But quite a few of them, maybe half of them, I was there like as their doula. And I've been at births that were like 19 hours long. And like I get home at
It's a long
like
shift.
at like 6 a.m, and then like with 4 kids at home, I lay down and sleep for like 2 hours. So I really need to fine tune childcare, and like have someone that's on call like per week in the month.
Yeah.
I
And
also
a glass of whiskey waiting for you, depending on how intense it was.
or like a melatonin,
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't know. At Ashland Hospital, they have like a doula program, and I think that's what I want to do. I think I want to be
Nice.
hired by Ashland Hospital to be a doula. That way I can pick shifts. Like, I don't know how many shifts, but that way I can plan childcare like much more reasonably than being like, hey,
Yeah,
this
so
lady.
you're incredibly ambitious.
Thank you.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of things that you're doing.
Well, I feel like even within like my doula dream, I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of like a little bit limp in it, Like
Well,
I
you have your own family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like some self-doubt too. Just like words of affirmation are like my love language. And like
Mine
sometimes,
too.
sometimes that's like hard to get in any job. I feel like
especially when that's your job. Like as a
Yeah.
doula, I feel like that's your job to be like
the voice.
the voice of like
Affirmation.
Yeah.
you're the solidity for this person. They're trusting you with what you've seen to know when it's bad. Like when something needs to happen that you're like, you're going to get through this.
Yeah.
And so I have a friend who is a midwife, and sometimes it's hard because she's giving care to everyone all the time. And so, and she's single, so she doesn't have a partner waiting for her to like help her sometimes recover from like really intense births or to have food waiting for her or whatever. And, she comes home and it's just her, and having to give that to yourself is like a gift, and it's super important, and we do it. And even when you're strong, it's still nice to have someone there or something who can give back to you, because you have to fill up your cup before you can really be fully present, helping others in like a really solid way. And so,
Yeah.
because I was planning on being a postpartum, I don't know if you would call it doula, but and getting my certification. But I had just recently, right before this, gone through a miscarriage, and then I was also getting divorced. And so I was like, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
And then like in the midst of all the grief and everything, I was like, actually, no,
Yeah.
this isn't what I want to do. I have the skills and it is fulfilling, but this is not where I need to go right now.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like you might.
It's nice to find something that you can do that's helpful to other people, because that does feel good, but it's also really fulfilling and supportive of you as a person yourself, that makes you feel good and accomplished.
Well, it's the two that came up for me.
Yeah.
I was like, so I had it so ingrained in me to be the helper, the auntie, like at every party I'm helping with the dishes. And so it took a lot of discipline to be like, what if I didn't help? Would people still want me around?
Yeah.
And it was very scary because it forced me to do something that might backfire or like lead to my undesirable outcome, but I had to risk that in order to learn how amazing it was that I was wanted for just my presence and loved for just who I was, rather than what I would do for others. Because then it wasn't conditional. So like, I'm really the type of person from this behavior of like the past, learning to like always make sure that I'm good with someone. So like if they give me something, that I mutually meet them.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me when a friend is like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to not be like, no, I need to give you, because like we need to be, because who, what might happen. So, so being of the two, I was like, this is actually is just further ingraining and this is just my journey. Only you will know, right? But I was like, this is actually further perpetuating my own shit that I'm trying to like work out. And so I was like, if time passes and I come back to this, then I know it's the right thing for me.
Yeah.
And I can be postpartum helper to my friends, and stuff. But yeah. So I'm curious if you'll have that kind of experience, or if that's like coming up for you, or
One thing that I struggle with is I just want to know that I'm doing my job right and correctly. And in the middle of labor, a mom isn't going to be like, oh yeah, that was perfect, like you said just the right thing. Maybe later, like a few days later, they'll be like, oh my god, like, and that actually kind of is part of being a doula. It's like a few days later, they're like, oh my gosh, I could not have done that without you.
Best words ever.
And that's really nice. But some people don't, say that. Maybe they feel that way, or they don't say that, or maybe they don't feel that way and so they don't say it. But I think just like having a job where there's not like a prescribed, like, this is what you do, and then when you complete that, you do this. Like being a nurse, it would be very straightforward, like, okay, this is your job, you need to do this, and then you need to do this, and complete this task and that task. And like, you can walk away at the end of the day and be like, okay, I did my job correctly. Like, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. But as a doula, it's so like open-ended, and it's changing like moment to moment. Like, you could be doing something and she's like pushing on her back, and she's like, yes, and then she's like, stop touching my back now, It just, so it's hard to know that you're doing the right thing. And I just need to overcome that and get over that, and just like,
maybe it is a good thing, a fortifying thing, to just like trust and know that you're showing up in the best way. And you're not gonna like, it's not your job to like read minds and be the ultimate caretaker, but you're like there, and that's cool.
And I think that's like part of being a doula, is just showing up for a woman, and like just holding space and be like, I believe that you can birth this baby. Just being that voice in the room that's like, no, like, women have done this forever. Like, you're doing it, So.
Oh my God, I would want that.
Yeah.
I would totally want someone there to do that. I would need that.
Yeah.
Please tell me I can do this.
You kind of have to have like thick skin too, because if the person doesn't like it, or they all of a sudden, like you said, 1 second they like you touching their back and rubbing them, and then the next second they don't. You kind of just have to not take it personal. Just recognize they're just having an experience, and you're doing the best you can. And if you do something wrong, because it's changing from moment to moment, you have to just be like, all right, it's fine. Like, I'll just recognize that maybe that was a mistake, or that something is changing in the environment, and you just adjust and adapt. And you just have to be gentle with yourself, and provide yourself with those words of affirmation, like, I'm doing the best I can, I messed up, I'm a human being. It's hard when people get mad at you, though.
Birthing women are so just like all over the place, though, and so it's easy to just be like, like, not take it personally.
Well, especially having your own babies, you're like, okay.
Yeah. I really love birth.
Wait, how long do you have left for your cert?
I have until June to complete it. So.
Oh, cool. So that's soon.
Yeah. like
Wow.
June 19th to complete it. And I'm pretty close. I've done all my births. I've done my lactation course. Like you have to get client references and you have to like explain the role and scope of a doula to a doctor and read all these books, and I've done all that. I just need to write an essay. I need to finish charting some of the births, which I should have done long ago, but I just like didn't complete it. So I have to finish charting the births, writing an essay. I have to make a resource list. So it's really, I don't think it's very hard to become a doula, but I do think it is hard to be a doula.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
emotional and energetics,
Yeah.
like that would be the most taxing for sure.
Yeah.
And so,
High burnout job.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, because I feel like with a lot of moms, it's like, okay, I need to get out into the task force and have a job to feel like I have control over my life and I'm like autonomous
Yeah.
now. And I'm like, getting back into like what I want so you can like have space from your kids and family so you can like do you. Is that like a part of the journey of having this job? And like,
Yeah.
what do you see for your future of like Ammon's sister, Kaylin, she started doing lashes and eyebrows. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's really like brought her into her, like,
Yeah.
she's
So many people are doing that these days. Like
Yeah.
COVID got people out of their jobs that they hate or whatever, and they just are like, I'm gonna find something else to do,
something
something
I
that I
actually
like,
love.
something fulfilling, and yeah, it seems like it's a really common thing these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm honestly scared to like be in the workforce, and like I just have such a routine. I love being home. Like I love being out in nature and like hiking and rafting and stuff too, and doing that kind of stuff. But I also really love like my routine at home, and I just like think about how hard it will be to juggle a job and like my mother duties and my house duties, like I like doing that stuff. I do think though that it will be good for me to get away from my kids and just get a little bit of space,
Yes.
Yeah.
and a little bit of like distance makes the heart grow fonder. you know?
Yeah.
Like a little bit of space. And it's crazy. Like sometimes when I just leave the house for like an hour, I come home and I just like have this like renewed well to be like, oh my gosh, hello. Like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
that's so true.
Yeah.
Taylor was in North Carolina for 4 days. She just got home last night. And yeah, it's very much that way. It's nice.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm like, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Rylee, so I need you to like go somewhere for 3 hours. She's like, okay. Actually, I just want to be with you. Can I just stay and be on the show? I'm like, yeah, let me
Well,
just
I
check.
didn't ask to be on it.
Yeah.
You're like, you can be on it if you want to.
I wanted you to be on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to get some space. And then, when you like, you come back and you're just like, oh, I missed you, or you just have like some, at least as a mom, just like some energy to be like enthusiastically like, hello, like it's so good to see you,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not
your
having that like
capacity is
diluted
renewed.
presence when you're just like constantly around someone, so you really can't see them for who they are, vice versa, or like, you just need personal space as a mom. Like you're to like, this is my body.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You
Don't
guys
touch
have
it
been
for
sucking
now.
on my body for however many years. All 4 of you have been sucking off my body, depleting me of all my nutrients and energy for so many years.
Yeah.
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 So I'm really curious about, like your church exit.
Okay.
I mean, do you feel complete and content on the story, the journey we just took?
I could talk about like birth and like how much I love doing it and stuff. But we can keep going.
Because like you and Jeremy did it together,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think it's such a heavy thing a heavy like lifestyle to shift out of.
Mormonism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find it to be such a very personal, individual journey. So to do it with a partner,
Yeah.
it has potential to just destroy a marriage.
Derail. Yeah.
Yeah, like with you and Kyle. Like you wanted to go to church, and he was like, I'm not going to do that. But I
Yeah.
mean, there was other things too that led into it. But was that hard for like to do with kids and with like with Jeremy. Like, we're not gonna baptize our kids now. We're not gonna raise our kids the way that the church is saying. Our kids are gonna see us living a different type of example all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And maybe one of you wanted to stay, or your journey was gonna be different.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Thankfully, our kids were all really young. Beckham was not even 5 years old yet. He was 4 when we finally left. But this is how it happened. And I remember when it was 2013, I had just had Sawyer. I remember him being a baby and me listening to Mormon Stories podcast. And I have my arm out here like this.
Yeah, well,
I'm holding the baby.
I'm picturing it now.
Yeah. So that was when I first started trying to learn more. We had some friends who were really Christian. They are really Christian still. And they would ask us really thought-provoking questions. And I was really just we would get in these debates. It was always friendly. We could always talk about this stuff. And they would ask really deep questions. And I wanted to be really honest with myself. I'm always that way. Willing to really explore what I think is true. And so when they would ask a question that I didn't know the answer to, I would really just try to find the answer in the scriptures or whatever.
Proof.
Yeah, to be this is the answer to your question. It's that more that missionary, if I don't know the answer, I'm gonna find the answer, And so some of the times, my findings were oh, you're right. The Book of Abraham was not this. It was an Egyptian funeral text,
So the conversations with these friends were sparking you to do more research, which led you to find Mormon Stories podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't know, other literature that was maybe making you think and doubt your position.
Yeah. And honestly, there was even the essays. Have you heard of the essays on LDS.org?
Yeah, I've never read them.
Yeah.
I listened to the Mormon Stories podcast for a while. I don't love it that much because I feel like the host has a bit of an agenda, and he kind of really, really forcefully steers people and kind of leads people to answer a question a certain way.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't love that, but I do like how constructive.
Yeah, and to go back and fact check, be whoa, he said this, is this true?
Yeah.
And some of it, on the essays on LDS.org, they're really hard, or they were really hard to find for a while. I don't know if they still are. On the church's website, but just it told a very different narrative than what we grew up with.
Yeah.
About Joseph Smith and how he translated the plates, and stuff, and
it always kind of feels like the church is.
They romanticized.
Yeah, the analogy that I like to use is it's you're on a date or you're dating somebody and they are going to put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
Of course, in the beginning. They're not going to tell you all of the dark shit about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But then you go on and you start to learn more and you get more invested and more involved, and it becomes this really beautiful relationship. And then all of a sudden you learn this really difficult type shit.
Yeah.
And it's not it's bad. It's just you should probably know it before you're going to commit your life to it and make these promises in the temple that are really, really heavy and serious. You're promising to die for the church if necessary.
Yeah.
But then whoa, I didn't even know all of the details about this.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like in a relationship, you should divulge the things about yourself to the person that might be things that they should know.
Yeah.
If they're going to invest and marry you.
Yeah, but if you want to seal the deal, you got to promote yourself and propaganda.
Well, of course, but it gets to the point of manipulation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because you're only portraying yourself in the best possible light.
Yeah.
But why not just portray yourself in an accurate light?
Honest.
And just let people make a decision based off of the truth, the full truth. rather than just the best parts.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of people understand and know the full truth and are still promoting it?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
I think, that there are some people who are just like kind of have their head buried in the sand and aren't aware of like a lot of things and how they happened. But I do think there's a big community of Mormons now who are really in the gray area. Do you feel that way?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I have very little to contribute to this part of the podcast, so I'm just kind of like playing
Yeah.
devil's advocate.
Well, you can just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's perfect.
Okay.
We need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that some people just get so invested. Like, for example, Apple, the phone company. I am so invested in this ecosystem of Apple products and AirDrop and just the whole thing. Mm-hmm. That, yeah, I see some negative parts, of course, but I'm like okay with it because of the pros. And that's how some people I feel like are with Mormonism and religion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things are, I don't know, they maybe aren't deal breakers for some people, but for me, they might be. And so, I don't know. But the problem that I have with the church is that the leadership, they just seem to avoid talking about those types of things and actively
Pretend like it's not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I had in my experience. So
Yeah.
so you came across some of that stuff and you were like, wait a sec.
Yeah, I felt very like betrayed kind of. And it, in 2013, like I feel like now like the movement of like church history transparency is well on its way.
Yeah.
And people are a lot more aware of all that stuff. But in 2013, it was really like fresh. At least like I felt like the Mormon Stories podcast, I felt like it was really like an outskirts thing that like nobody knew about,
Yeah.
And I can't remember why I said that.
You just had to dig a little harder to find it.
Yeah, I felt like I had to dig to find it back then.
And these days it's just way more
more
accessible and
Yeah.
well known. Mm-hmm. So more people are kind of discovering it and questioning. I think it's cool that you were able to doubt your position with the church, because some people, like you said, they just kind of bury their head in the sand and they're like, it doesn't matter what I find. I'm going to believe this regardless of whatever I find. And I'm going to continue to try to convince people that it's the right way and the only way to live their life, the only path to happiness. And I kind of have a problem with that too.
I like to think that I'm like just more honest with myself and like can like do the hard things and like take risks, and do the things that are uncomfortable, push myself. I felt like I just really wanted to look at things honestly, but it took me years to get to the point where we actually left. So my like journey to discover, dig more, like find the truth out about the church started in 2013, and then we really didn't like step away from the church until we had Hawkins in 2017. And he was born in September, and so he was premature, and we just like didn't go to church for a long time afterwards. I was like, no, like I'm keeping like this little immunodepressed baby like safe. And that really allowed us to like just step away for months and like not go back.
Yeah. So from 2013 when you started to research till 2017?
Yeah. And I just slowly felt myself disengaging more and more and just feeling less and less connected and upset. Like go to church and just wouldn't feel like at peace,
Yeah.
And I remember like, I don't know, one thing that that just popped in my head randomly is, you remember the song, Follow the Prophet?
Oh yeah, the primary song?
Yeah. And other primary songs, but like, follow the prophet, don't go astray.
Yeah.
It's just like, geez, like,
Yeah.
like you envision yourself singing that, and these kids love this song, but it's just like, don't go astray, It's just,
sometimes
like,
it does feel a little bit like, it's so great, follow the prophet,
like,
but if you don't,
yeah.
you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
You're gonna be astray and you're gonna be outcast.
Yeah, just like the wordage of these songs, just and then, gosh, what's the other song? Teach me all that I should do to live with him someday. In the 80s, they changed the words of that song. Teach me all that I must do
Oh.
instead of should do. Like, teach me
Oh
all
yeah,
that
as
I...
you said the lyrics the first time, I was like, I think it's
Yeah.
must.
Yeah, they changed that.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Teach me all that I must do. And I just feel like, I don't know, God's love is so much more like liberal than, I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah, I agree.
all the like itinerary and like the box of the church that you have to be within the parameters of, and all the things you must do, the boxes you need to check. I just don't feel, yeah.
Are there things that you miss about going to church?
No. I don't miss feeling like there's like having a calling. I don't miss that at all. That was so much pressure, and I always just felt like it was so much on top of like normal life stuff, And I don't know how some people juggle like really intense callings. Like,
Yeah.
that seems really,
Very consuming.
yeah.
I kind of miss the community, like going to church on Sundays and seeing the people. And I don't know, when I first moved back to Oregon, I was getting a lot of new clients through the church, and that wasn't why I was going, but that was just like a happy side effect.
Yeah.
And so, I typically enjoy Mormon people because they
I do
have
too.
high standards and good morals, and
Yeah.
they're typically pretty clean people. So I like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
callings are definitely a really high responsibility, and the social aspect of church can sometimes be destructive, I think, because it's so competitive and, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So you and Jeremy kind of left at the same time. You were both on board with it.
Yeah, so I was the first one to like start, looking into stuff, and I would just spend hours and hours and hours like listening to podcasts and like researching like online and stuff.
Yeah.
Looking through like the Joseph Smith papers and the essays, and like bought books and stuff, and just like an overwhelming amount of time I spent researching this stuff. And I remember at one point, Jeremy was, when we were Mormon, it was always like, I was kind of like pulling Jeremy uphill a little bit. I was like, come on, like,
Yeah.
Like, do this with me, like.
Well, because when you met him, he wasn't Mormon, right?
He was. He
Oh.
had just gotten baptized like a few months before we met.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But he never like lived the life, like growing up, like he didn't know like what was expected kind of.
Yeah.
And so I think that shift for him was probably pretty difficult. And I was always just feeling like, okay, like I have this vision of what a Mormon dad and husband should be. And I was like feeling like I was like, come on,
Yeah.
let's do this, let's do that, like lead us,
Yeah. Be the patriarch.
Yeah. And so he was kind of like disengaged from a little bit. He kind of took what he wanted and left what he didn't, which I really admire now. Like, I just love that he did that and didn't feel like he had to subscribe to like all this stuff to be accepted or whatever. He just kind of like did what he wanted. And so when we were leaving, like there was one time I remember where he was like, whoa, like, honey, like slow down. Just because the implications like in family and like what that would mean like for our relationships, like with my dad and my grandparent, like my grandma, and all my aunts and cousins and stuff.
Yeah, it's a decision that has a lot of consequences.
It felt at the time like it was huge. I remember feeling just really overwhelmed by like what could happen to my relationships. Because at the time, like I only had Mormon friends really, except maybe like a handful of people, and all my family was Mormon, and it felt like a huge thing to leave. So it took a long time. Anyways, Jeremy like questioned me one time. He was like, whoa, like this is intense, like slow down, And then like I would like tell him stuff, you know, like over time, be like, I like was learning about this today, or learning about that today, and we would talk about it, and yeah, and then by the time like we left, he was finally just like kind of at a place of just like, yeah, like this isn't
Yeah.
where we want to be anymore. Like it doesn't feel right anymore. And I know a lot of people who still consider themselves Mormon, who still go to church. Some of our close friends still go. They don't consider themselves like Mormon by every
Standard.
by every standard, but they go for like the community, you know.
Yeah.
And there's things that they like about it that they don't want to like let go or leave behind.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I really,
Yeah, same.
I'm like really happy for people who can be in it and like just do it how they want to do it. And I
Treat
wish,
it like a buffet.
yeah,
Just take what you want,
And
leave
I
what
would-
you don't.
yeah. I wish more people could do it like that.
People in Utah do it like that. It's like I feel like in Oregon it's very black and white. Like you're all in or you're not.
Yeah.
And in Utah, places where there's just it's so saturated
many.
with Mormons, there's a lot
Yeah.
of gray area Mormons where they kind of take what they want, leave what they don't. And
Yeah.
because I'm from Oregon and was so black and white, when I lived in Utah, I'm specifically in the fire service. A lot of the firefighters were Mormon, just because everybody in Utah is.
Yeah.
But they were just so different, and I would just sit there quietly judging them and just being like, "You guys are terrible."
Yeah.
But
Isn't it just horrible that like we
Yeah.
can like sit and like judge other people, like be like, ugh, like you're not being a Mormon correctly, you know?
yeah, I feel like I'm a lot less judgy now. I'm more open and accepting of multiple different lifestyles,
Yeah.
and I feel like I have a lot more compassion
Yeah.
somehow, which is strange. It feels counterintuitive.
Really?
Yeah, because Mormonism is all about like being compassionate
Yeah.
and accepting and loving of everybody, and
Yeah.
but it's really hard to do that when the church says like being gay is a sin, and then to be loving and welcoming and accepting of people that are gay was just like hard because
Yeah.
I would just find myself like wanting to distance myself from
Yeah.
people like that. And people that
Man.
would drink and stuff like that. But now I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, people that you can still drink and be a good person. You can be gay and be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just felt like it kind of polluted my mind and my ability to be accepting of people with different lifestyles.
Yeah. I can remember writing things on Facebook. Oh man, going on monologues about things. Just like why this was wrong or why that book was awful or why, ugh, I'm just disgusted. When I look back, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, can I just delete my whole Facebook?
Yeah. I feel
and
the same way.
You do?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't really go on many Facebook rants, but I was very
Yeah.
judgmental
Yeah.
of like specifically Braden when he left the church. I was just the things I would say to him, the
Yeah.
judgments I would say were just I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm so sorry
Yeah.
for saying that, for thinking that, for judging you that way.
Yeah. Yeah, the what was it? The policy they came out with, I think it was like 2015 about gay parents and children, like the children of gay parents.
Oh yeah.
That was like the straw that like just like I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is not okay, you know?
Yeah, that was a straw for a lot of people.
Yeah. And they changed it now, but they changed it like a year later, I think.
I wish that they would, when they change policies like that, I wish they would say things like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for doing that. That was a mistake. Or
Right.
because they typically use verbiage like, we got a new revelation that God wants it to be this way, actually.
Yeah.
And they don't really take responsibility
Yeah.
themselves and be like,
Yeah.
we're just.
Well,
yeah,
what do
we
they,
made-
what do they
made a
call it?
mistake.
Spiritual bypassing, when you like are using your spiritual beliefs in order to like project and judge and create these like black or white things. And it's what gives, in my opinion, spirituality a bad name. And I feel
Yeah.
like totally appalled by most of it, but it's
Spirituality or religion?
Religion, but also sometimes spirituality, because a lot of people want to like tell you what it is,
Yeah.
but it could be really different for everybody. Like, it's super spiritual for me to just sit with my cat outside in nature.
Yeah.
And like, I have a very spiritual experience sometimes, but like, who is the next person to say, well, you don't believe in these commandments given by this one guy who read these tablets who could only translate them, and here's this book.
Yeah.
And now, you know, it's like, it feels really weird to me. I'm like, but are you God? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, what gives you the power to judge
Yeah.
that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's weird.
I feel like I view the world really gray too now. Like
Yeah.
Jeremy does too. Like, and it's almost like we have some friends who we talk about this kind of stuff with a lot, and
Oh, I hope I'm not saying anything offensive to
No.
you. I don't really know where you stand. I mean, I feel like you're open-minded because we're talking about it, but like, I don't really know anything. So
no.
sorry.
No, you're good.
What do
I
you
think.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I just like kind of passive aggressively was like
No.
saying this guy who read these tablets. Like, obviously that means I think it's weird.
Yeah.
And
No, it didn't offend me at all.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like since leaving the church, I see the world very much through a gray lens too. I also feel like, I don't know, I was raised really conservatively, but really liberally, like in Ashland, like
Yeah.
by my friends and their parents, and like that raised me too.
Yeah, it's a very liberal town.
Yeah, so I feel like I can really, really chill out in the gray area. I'm like, yeah, like I can see both sides. And then since leaving, like we talk with our friends sometimes, and sometimes I feel like we're almost convictionless, like, you know, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Sometimes
I
I
definitely
feel-
have convictions, but
Yeah, like too much gray can almost be a bad thing. Like being too liberal, I suppose, because then it's almost like we have no boundaries and there is no right and wrong. You can just do whatever the fuck you want without anybody to say otherwise.
Yeah.
Is that being liberal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is just what's the word? Just like language, you know. It's just semantics. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
But people that I don't know, just I feel like there's this movement, or just millennials
oh yeah,
are like, I don't want to do this, and it's okay if you want to do that, and there's no right and wrong, just whatever. Like, marry your dog. I don't care.
yeah,
And not to say that that's like bad, whatever, but it just, where is the line?
yeah,
There has to be some kind of boundary. It's like playing a game. There have to be some rules for there to be some kind of structure and freedom.
Yeah.
Because there is such a thing as having too much freedom. Like if the game of chess, for example, had no rules, there would be no game. So I
Yeah, I
think
guess-
that having there be some structure and boundaries does provide you with freedom.
yeah,
Well, originally, I feel like when I learned the history of the Bible as a Christian going to Bible college, you take this one class where they like teach you about the history of religion. So like Christianity was made the main religion in Rome because the leader at the time wanted to have more control over the society because there was a lot of crime and like bad things were happening.
Yeah.
And so they created these like guidelines to keep people from killing each other and like stealing and raping and all these things. And so there are these, I do appreciate, because like every continent or like culture has a specific way that they have their guidelines, i.e. religion, that kind of like guides them to like being good people.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's like our neighbors who are like, our religion is kindness, but like, how do you teach that to your kids? It's very different when it's not labeled something, because you have to think for yourself. And you have to
Yeah.
like, what does that mean? And it's very different in like very many different situations. Like religion's like, okay, this is what it is. This is what it's not. Like the black and white thinking that we like want so badly to
Yeah.
like hold on to, because it's so much easier to be told what's right and wrong than having to, like, it's very hard to teach, you know. And I'm not like knocking the church for doing that, or religion or whatever, because it is hard to teach. Like I would have trouble as an adult human. You know, you do the best that you can, you screw up, your kids, they're like, you have your thing with your kids. And
Yeah, well, it's hard to also decide for yourself what's right and wrong when you have nobody else telling you.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, it's interesting that you brought up, like, how do we teach our kids, like, what your neighbor feels like their religion is kindness. I feel like that's one of my main convictions, is just, like, just be kind. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, how do you teach that to your kids? Because it's kind of like, what does it mean to you to be kind? Yeah, that's, I guess, just by example, teaching your kids how to be kind. But I don't think I'm the best example of that all the time. I think
Well, being kind sometimes to yourself means
Yeah.
that you tell this crazy idiot that they're crazy idiot,
Yeah.
and you stand up for yourself. And so that's where it gets weird, because kindness, I feel like we want to put in a box of, like, it's soft and gentle and sweet. And, like,
yeah, true.
it's not sometimes. It doesn't look like that, but, like, it's like the hard kindness, the hard truth, the hard, what do you call it, the tough love or whatever.
Yeah.
And there is sometimes a lot of kindness in that, because you're like, I'm not enabling this. I'm not going to do you a disservice as your friend. I'm going to stand up for you or whatever, and
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
The list goes on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's also hard when you're a parent and you have like 4 kids, and each one of them learn differently, respond differently. So
Yeah.
So tough. Oh my God.
how do you manage that?
Oh, I don't know.
How old's Beckham now?
He's 10. He just turned 10.
And then Hawkins is 4?
Hawkins is 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had them all in 5 years and 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, they are all very different, and they're all in very different phases. And sometimes I just feel like I'm riding on autopilot, just like, yes, no, you can't do that. Like, just very, like, jerky, you
Keep
know?
the humans
Yeah.
alive today.
Yeah. Well, it's just, like, so constant with 4 kids. It's just, like, sometimes just, like, unfathomable. Like, how like, long my strand of words can be. Like, have I even stopped talking for, like, 3 minutes? Like, no. Like, I've just been, like...
3 minutes.
just like straight, just words just coming out, like just sound like an auctioneer, like
Yeah.
know?
And how much are they really absorbing of that?
yeah, they all really are at different phases. It's hard. It's really hard to, I don't know, to teach them kindness. Is that the question?
Just to teach them anything.
Yeah.
Like, just when they're all so different and you're only one person, but you have to
Yeah.
like train these
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
individuals who are so different, but you have a responsibility to like
Yeah.
keep them alive, but then make sure that they are like self-sufficient and able to make decisions and like armed with education, so that when certain things happen or they're exposed to certain things in life, as we all are,
Yeah.
that they know how to respond, or that they know at least who they can talk to.
It's stressing me out just hearing it.
Yeah. I feel like one thing that's helped me as a mom is to just like be real with my kids.
Yeah.
I'm a human. That's all I'm ever going to be, I think. And,
Maybe you'll be a doula.
yeah.
Still human, I guess.
And, I'm just not perfect at all. I've always wanted to be a mom. I hope I'm kind of good at it. I think I'm okay at it. I don't think I'm always great at it. I definitely make mistakes. I definitely, like, some of my inner, like, pain and cruelty can, like, come out on my kids, And, like, impatience. Man, it's one thing that's really hard for me about being a mom.
Probably a source of so much shame or guilt.
Yeah.
Like, you walk away from a situation or you lay down in bed at night, you're like, God, I could have handled that
like,
better.
Cringing at myself.
Do you ever walk away with the opposite feeling? Like,
Yes.
dude, I handled that like a fucking
Yes.
boss.
Yes. I say all the time, I'm like, sometimes I feel like I desperately need to read a parenting book, and sometimes I'm like, I could write those books,
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's just at the end of the day, like you said, like, I feel like parents love their kids so much that you do look at yourself at the end of the day and you're like, shit, like,
Really
Nitpick
critical.
yourself.
I could
Yeah.
be so much better for them. But one thing that's really helped me as a mom is to just be human around my kids. I feel like that's a good they should see the human in their parents.
Yeah.
They shouldn't think that they need to be perfect. I think that's one thing that's like the previous generation, like maybe my mom's parents, like
Oh yeah.
really wanted my parents wanted to portray like more like how to be perfect,
Yeah.
and that no one can be perfect, and that's not human. And so when I make mistakes with my kids, which I often do, I can scream. I can really scream at my kids.
Really?
Yeah. And that's like one of the things I feel so much guilt. I feel like I'm so patient so much of the time, but man, when I get angry, it's not pretty.
You really lose it.
Yeah. But then I'm just like, you know what, guys? I got really upset, and I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not perfect.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I
Being
feel
able
like-
to do that
Oh my
is
God,
big.
that alone is like fine.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
you're fine now.
Yeah.
Like as long as you can, because as you're talking, I'm literally thinking like, I wish my mom would just say that she's not perfect, because
Yeah.
what happens is the kids learn that they don't have to be, and that it's not about not exploding. It's about like how you are aware and like come to and apologize to, because like,
Taking responsibility for your
yeah, and like
loss of temper or whatever.
being angry is a part of being human.
Yeah.
Like it's not to like not be angry. It's
Yeah.
about like how you do it and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what happens after too. I mean, obviously there's lines. Like you're not gonna hurt someone like
Yeah.
physically, and like you're
As
not.
long as you're not drowning your kids,
Yeah.
you're good. I'm joking.
Yeah. I feel like it's good too for them to realize like, whoa, like what I did affected my mom, and like, not for them to take ownership of like it's my job to make mom happy.
Yeah.
But like it's good to be aware of like, whoa, like I have an impact. My mom just isn't this like human that's always there in the background of my life. Like it's not my world and my mom just lives in it. Like my mom lives in the world too. And
Do you ever say to your kids like, the way that you're behaving is making me sad, or it's hurting my feelings?
I do, but like that wordage like is making me like, I use that. I say it all the time, but like I do think about like the fact like, no, like they're not making me anything, but it does feel like they are, like
Yeah.
that I was going to say earlier. That's one thing that's really hard about motherhood, is not being able to choose like how your day goes, or how you're going to feel. And I know that it, like they say it is a choice, like you always have a choice how you're going to feel, but it's really fucking hard when, they're
I don't know if
being
that's true.
total assholes.
Yeah, I don't know. I
And-
definitely am like, that feels very idealistic
Yeah.
and not
Okay,
real.
thank you.
I think that you
I
can
don't-
just control like how you behave when
Yeah.
that emotion.
There's consequences
exists.
to like little creatures and what they do to you. If your child takes a knife and stabs you, yeah, you're gonna have a shitty day.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
there's consequences, and obviously
You are going to have a really shitty day.
Yeah.
if that happens.
a bloody day. But I feel like flip the coin. So like their actions have consequences, but like you are taking responsibility by saying I'm mad.
Like showing them, like, look,
And
when you stab
saying-
mommy bleeds.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Very good demonstrative.
calmly. I bleed when you stab me, honey.
Exhibit A.
And now you have to spend the
Yeah.
day in the hospital with me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, overall, it's just like what exists, right? So, like, we're just being real. I feel like a lot is weird when things don't get shared of like just your process as a human to your kids, which I feel like a lot of us look back and we're like, I wish my mom would have, like, I wish I knew my mom better, that I knew her inner process.
Yeah.
I don't remember my mom like ever doing anything. If she did, it was in the privacy of her bedroom where I would find like piles of Kleenex because she would just be like crying herself to sleep, or like, I don't know, she would like get mad at me, but like we wouldn't have a conversation about it. And I wouldn't understand what was
Yeah.
going on. So I do really value the communication. Obviously, you're not going to be like, honey, we don't know if we're going to eat tonight. If you're like financially struggling, there's like certain things you don't
Yeah.
necessarily share. There's lines, but
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody with kids that are like older, like adult children,
Yeah.
because I'm really curious I mean, you obviously love your kids. You have this deep desire for them to be happy, and you maybe have an expectation for them to turn out a certain way, or at least positive. But to hear a parent's experience where their child is doing things that they really don't like or are completely against or opposite of what their expectation was, I'd be curious to see how difficult that is for a grown parent to see their child like really just like opposite, and like how they deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Your mom and dad come to my mind, but I think you've had them on the podcast.
Multiple times, yeah, I have. And I've talked to them about it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I know them too well. I feel like I want to ask.
Was that rude to say?
No, not at all. I know full well that
they have a lot of kids.
That my behavior was very much against what they wanted.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
it'd just be interesting. I think you just have to be open-minded and drop all your expectations.
Yeah.
And just have like a general, I hope my child just finds something that they can do, that they find fulfilling, that they're happy.
Yeah. I think that's important to like really release your kids from, as they grow up, from what you expect them to be, or like what you hope they are, to release them from your, Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with relationship. You have to just allow your partner to grow and to be different if they are going to be different. And
sorry, I'm still laughing at what you hope they'd be.
I know, it was very cute. I was like, but I totally got it. I was following with you. I was like, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
I feel like even just like, because I'm the oldest of 4 girls, and maybe you can relate, Ammon, but with my sisters, they're all so different. And I feel like just as a sister, to be able to see them make choices, I'm like, that's so cool. Like, they're so different. And then sometimes I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out. But it's like a part of their learning experience. And sometimes it's like, I know myself. I was like, oh, you're going to tell me not to. I'm going to go do that thing. And it's going to be a disaster. But I have to figure it out, like, my way. And, yeah, there could have been a way more graceful. Like, I could have been observant and, like, researched and like
Can you point that microphone at your mouth?
Oh yeah, sorry. And so it's a lot.
One thing that just popped to my head too is that there's so much pressure to raise your kids right while they're young, but like parenthood is a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
So you always have a chance to like keep at it, even when they've moved beyond the nest, like I don't know, like it's not over, You're still their parent.
Yeah.
I'm 32 and I hang out with my mom all the time.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah, we get along super well.
I was in Asheville this last week and Emma was like, I'm having dinner with my mom.
Aww.
And he made her
so
like
fun.
steak and amazing honey glaze.
Your mom lives in Asheville?
No, I was just with a client for work.
Oh, I really like
She
Asheville.
went to Asheville.
Yeah.
That's like one of the places I've actually been to was
Nice.
North Carolina, Asheville.
Yeah, I would like to go back in the summer where all the leaves are in the trees and like see it in a different way because it's very bare right now.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty spoiled being in the Pacific Northwest where the trees are green and big and lush still and all that. But so I'm curious.
Okay.
Shifting the conversation.
Okay.
So life after momhood. Like with what you go through in your body. So like what is going on for you now?
Oh yeah, your boobs.
Talking about tits.
Yeah, well, it's a whole
Tits.
story of self-worth, right? And like, what's it like and what's coming up for you and what
Thanks for
decisions
bringing
are
that
you?
up. That's what I was trying to. I was like, there's something else. What was it?
What's coming up for you? Are you making changes? Like, how are you?
Yeah.
Motherhood changes your body,
Yeah.
and surgery does too.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to be really honest.
Yeah,
I'm not
girl.
going to worry about what anyone else is thinking about this, but I really love my body. I've always really loved my body. And when I was pregnant, I just felt so beautiful and gorgeous and glowing. Like I really loved my pregnant body.
Very ripe.
Yes. Like a ripe fruit ready to pluck.
Ripe with child.
Yeah. Yep. I really liked my pregnant body. I know it's not that way for everybody. And I feel, I know I have good genes in my family. I think it comes easier to me to, I just am lucky that it comes easier to my body to, I don't know.
Birth.
Bear children.
Yep. And I also, like, I have done some things to keep my body healthy too. Like, it's not all just luck. But I really like my body. I'm really proud of what my body has done. And that goes like far, like beyond like what I eat and stuff. Like, I feel like, when I was backpacking at charter school and stuff, it gave me a relationship with nature, my body. It gave me confidence. And I've always just really loved my body and appreciated it. And after I had babies, I didn't care. It was just like, I'm a mama, like,
Yeah. Like, all right, my body's purpose is done.
no.
Oh my God. So doom and gloom. She has so much more life to live.
Yeah.
While being in like a badass outfit too. And feeling like hot shit.
So it's really hard to just be really honest, but I have some stretch marks, but I don't have a lot of them. And I'm really fortunate, my boobs are more empty now, but my breasts are more empty now.
Tits.
But like, they're not saggy. Like, my nipple doesn't point downwards. Like, it's still, I can look you straight in the eyeball. Sometimes I just say things, it just like comes straight out. I thought that was really funny.
It was funny.
I laughed so loud though. Gosh, I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Let it out.
Yeah. And okay. Okay, but
So
I
the
lost.
nipples are still awake and they're
Yes.
still making eye contact.
Yeah. Yes. I lost some weight over the summer, like 15 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. How did you do that?
Rafting.
Lots of rowing. Only
Rowing.
upper body did I lose that weight. No. Yeah, I like kind of some fasting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I changed my morning habit, like less carbs. Egg and avocado is what I like. I've always eaten eggs for breakfast, but I like just an egg and avocado. I did over the summer. And I would sometimes do Ezekiel toast, but sometimes not. And I would like
Ezekiel toast?
do Ezekiel bread.
It's a brand of sprouted
Oh,
Yeah.
bread.
I've never heard of that.
It's like just, I think, more of like a complex carb, right?
Yeah.
Just like it's made with like lentils and sprouts and like
Oh, okay.
all
Supposed to be
yeah.
better for you.
Yeah. It definitely feels healthier going in and stuff.
Out.
And yeah, anyways.
In and out.
In and out.
Smooth.
Yeah. And I would eat like a smoothie for lunch or a juice, like, and just like go easy on my digestion.
Are you exercising or anything? Or
During the summer, no, I wasn't. I just started back at a gym doing bar.
oh, cool.
I really like bar. I really like the low impact.
Yeah.
What's bar?
Bar is a fusion of ballet, Pilates, and yoga.
It's
Oh,
hard.
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
It is very hard.
There's a lot of squatting.
Why is it called bar?
Because sometimes you use a bar, right?
Well, yeah. I feel like it's an acronym too. That might. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay.
But it's
Anyway.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Continue.
intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the most intense workout ever, but like it's not like P90X or something. But it's it's
Or
hard.
like holding poses and like
Yeah.
shaking. And,
Yes,
yeah.
definitely some shaking and like
Yeah.
a lot of squatting, and like core stuff. And then it just feels very good. That's like a very good workout for me.
Yeah.
And I do
Yeah.
that on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Nice.
But over the summer, it was just like fasting. Like I just tried to go easy on my digestion. I felt like I was just like really like kind of like bloated, and my body just needed some time to just like
Yeah.
eat less, and like too like I didn't
Yeah.
really need to eat a ton, you know.
Yeah.
And I just I feel like I really got a good balance of like fine tuning like what feels good, especially after birthing and nursing, like coming back to like, okay, like what's
Yeah.
normal, like what feels normal to like eat. And
Do you feel like
Yeah.
you're pretty in tune with your body?
yeah,
Nice. That's helpful. I think that's the best way to eat. It's just like, am I hungry?
Yeah.
And then eating something healthy-ish, or just what you're feeling like eating.
We just
finding a healthy version of that thing.
Yeah, we just got back from Disneyland, and like, you know, road trip eating is hard, and Disneyland eating is hard.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But the food in Star Wars Land, I've got to say, if you want some healthy food at Disneyland, Star Wars Land had like kale and sweet potato and like,
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Babe, let's go.
Yeah, just for the food at Star Wars Land.
So you were talking about how you lost 15 pounds.
I lost 15 pounds. Yeah, I never thought I would be at the weight I am now again, but I feel really good. But my boobs got a lot smaller.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, you know, I was looking at myself the other day in the mirror. I feel like I'm going to maybe regret saying this. I'm still not 100% sure I want to get a breast augmentation.
Uh-huh.
But I have a consultation set up, and it's in 2 weeks, actually. And I was looking at myself in the mirror the other day, naked. And I was looking at myself, and like I really like my body. Like I feel very feminine and like kind of delicate, and like, you know, my boobs aren't super small, but like they're not what they used to be, you know.
Are you really critical of your
No.
body visually?
No.
Oh.
I really like my body. I do.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a little bit of emotional, like thinking about changing them, you know? Mm-hmm. But I also like really want to change them a little bit. And it's such
Our friend Summer loves it. She's like 100% recommend.
Such a vain thing, I feel like.
Is it? Does it have to be labeled?
Well, why do you want to do it?
Yeah.
I just want them to be a little bit bigger, you know, like a little bit fuller, you know, like I feel like from a profile view, it's very like flat.
Does it feed back into like you're the two and you want to be the helper and like you want to help Jeremy have? I don't know.
Honey, no.
And even he's like, you know, like I don't know, like if I'll like your new boobs as well as I like your boobs you have now. He's like, maybe I'll like them less. He's like, I love them, but he's just like, you do you. And my goal, I really want like a really soft, natural, like feminine look. I don't want like a really matronly looking full bosom.
Porny look.
Yeah. Because as you age too, like I don't want to look like an old matronly, like, you know. I just want them to look like very natural. Yeah. And like full on the lower pole more, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. And I still haven't processed, like you asked, like what my process earlier, you asked like what my process in coming to that decision was, and that there's a lot of taboo around talking about it. And I still haven't come to a conclusion that I want or don't want to do it yet. So I'm just going to like keep it open-ended and go to the consultation and like see what feels right. I'm pretty sure I'll end up doing it.
I'll put a poll up on the internet on this podcast. I'll say, should Rylee get a boob augmentation? And then people can vote yes or no.
Or will she do it?
Yeah.
Check back in 2 weeks and we'll have a... Or like after she gets them done.
I would hate to know what people thought.
No, I think will or will she not
Yeah, it's
do
completely for you.
Yeah.
And they're very much like, I mean, you're not walking around with them out.
Yeah.
So it's very much just a personal thing.
And I do feel like after I get them done, like I won't want everyone to know that I had them done, you know, like I don't know if that's shame or what. Like I don't even know if I want my kids to know. So
is it because you don't want your kids to be like, I'm going to get a boob job one day?
Yeah, and I don't want them to be like, oh my gosh, mom's so vain. She got a boob job, you know? Or like...
So there's a fear of being seen as vain.
Yeah. Yeah. Too, like I've always just like changed in front of my kids and they will know, like they'll notice. But I don't know, like I just don't want to be like, yeah, this was so important to me that I like had someone cut open my boob and put something in it, you know?
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
Well, what will it do for you? Like once it happens, like what do you perceive the benefits of having it?
Yeah.
No judgments.
Yeah.
Just
I'm gonna have these boobs for a long time. I'm gonna get older.
Yeah.
I
Can't you take them out too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they are now, I like them, but if I get older and stuff, like, I want them to look nicer for longer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I worked with a MD who focused on hormone replacement therapy, which there's a lot of controversy out there about it because they're like, it's not natural. But once you don't have hormones, you don't have them. It's like just the cycle of life and physiology. And so don't you want to just have a better quality of life for your ending of years when you don't have them, when you have the option? Like, what's it doing? You know, like, what's the big deal? And so in a sense, it's like, well, don't you just want to be happy and feel stoked on your body? And why not? You can get them out. It's not like a total permanent thing. And, you know, it does a lot of goodness for you, like whatever it is. And who is someone else to judge, like, whether you should or shouldn't?
Yeah.
You know?
It's very vain, but, like, when I'm in a swimsuit, you know, like, I'm wearing a bra right now. It's a push-up bra. So, like, I don't really want my boobs to be any more bigger than, like, what they look like in a bra, you know? But when I'm in a bathing suit, like, there's no, like, you know, it's just me.
So you want some silicone to help with the pushing. Plus, you're rafting a lot on the river.
Yeah. Gotta have good tits to go rafting.
Right. But aren't
Good
you wearing
flotation.
don't you wear a life vest? And that kind of, like, covers everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much just a personal thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, like, when I lean forward now, it's like they're like this thin. You know, it's like when I'm like just standing, it's like, okay, like they're what they are. But when you lean forward and they're like this thin, it's like, you know. So yeah, it's like something I don't want to. I just don't like that.
Do you think you'll feel shame after getting them?
Yeah, some.
And you're still willing to do it because of the benefits will outweigh the shame, potentially.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I think I'll feel some shame, but I think I'll get over it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many women out there that have done all kinds of fillers and whatever, and, like, there's a whole crew of women who will accept you, you know, and be like, yes, queen.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you. No, I don't know. You know, they're like, come join us.
Join our community of augmentation.
Yeah. I guess that's like, you know, I don't know. Like, I guess it is personal. It's just totally personal. But I really do champion, like, people's bodies, like, as they are. And I feel like a hypocrite. Kind of like, you know?
Interesting. Well, I bet the birthing doula realm is very different too around that. So it feels, I mean, maybe you're here to bridge both worlds and be like, you can have it be all natchy and you can do whatever you want. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
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 Don't talk to me about my boobs until you've had 4 kids, and then I will hear your criticisms and maybe, you know, don't let anyone else talk about.
Yeah.
They can't say shit.
I could say one more thing, but I just don't want people to
do it.
Okay, I'll say it. It's
light a
just, like,
fire under their ass.
It's
I know.
such a. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna talk about my nipples. If that lights a fire under your ass,
Let's do it.
Okay.
Nipple.
Just like when I lost weight, I just feel like I don't know, like they just became like, like more deflated, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like my nipple like sits like further in, like, you know, unless it's like stimulated, you know?
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like kind of
like, not like inverted, but like just like rests more inward, you know? It's like, I don't know.
You remember, did you guys ever do that craft in like kindergarten or elementary school where you make like a little stuffed animal puppet thing, but you use a sock and you fill it with sand and then you put a face on it and you know, tie it and then you name it something?
Yeah.
And then there's that one kid that used like a really long tube sock and didn't fill it with enough sand, and so it's just like this hanging face.
Yeah.
I feel like some women's boobs get like that after pregnancy and just age. Yeah. Just kind of like like a really long tube sock with just a little bit of sand in it, where
Yeah.
the face is like kind of looking at the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some people who their boobs did that after one kid. And I feel really like fortunate that my boobs have held up so well. I passed the pencil test. So the pencil test is like if you need a lift or not. And if I need I know I don't need a lift, but if I
What
did,
is the pencil test?
okay, if I did need a lift, I wouldn't do it. Just because it's so much more like invasive. They like
They
cut,
go up here.
they cut around your nipple and then they cut like down.
Oh.
And it's just like a whole like much bigger thing. But the pencil test is like if you put a pencil like under like the crease of your breast and your nipple passes the pencil, then that's like you need a lift. Or if it's like on the pencil or close to the
Wow,
pencil.
how did they develop that test?
Wait, what?
Really, really advanced technology.
That's some advanced.
Wait, so you
Some
put a
advanced
pencil
tests.
under your
Just like
boob?
boob. Yeah.
and then if it goes
If your nipple, like, if your boob, like, hangs over the pencil.
Well,
Wait.
like your nipple hangs over the pencil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So like
Gotcha.
the crease of your boob. I don't know.
so you'd have to have a really long nipple.
Or just like, really like downward facing boob.
Oh, yeah, because it probably
I don't
means
think
there's,
I'd
like, a
need a
lot of
lift.
extra skin on the top of the boob, and so they have to, like,
Yeah.
pull it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, the things we do
Yeah.
for our bodies.
And pumping does crazy things to your boobs. So
As opposed to nursing?
yeah, pumping is much harder on your boobs.
Really?
Yeah, and on your nipples, like elongates your nipple more, and just like you're making, I don't know, it's just more like of an unrealistic amount of milk that you're making, like on demand every time.
Yeah.
So your body's like, whoa, let's do this. 2, you're usually doing both at once, and that's like twice as much milk that a baby would
Yeah, you
drink.
would never.
Yeah.
Unless you had twins or something.
When I had Hawkins and I was pumping for him exclusively for the first month, I had triple D's. My boobs were triple D's.
Wow.
They were giant.
That's crazy.
You ever see those women in the Amazon, like those tribes where they, like you watch it in anthropology class in high school,
Yeah.
and their boobs are like drastically different sizes,
Oh yeah.
like
One.
comically different sizes. Like
Oh,
one
each
is like,
one?
Yeah, one boob's like
Well, because
high and
one-
tight, and the other one's just like
yeah.
the tube sock.
Because
Yeah.
that's like the one that the baby really liked or something.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend who's dealing with that right now. One
Really?
of her boobs is
Oh, shout out to your friend.
twice as big as the other.
Boobs are amazing.
And then they
Yeah,
just like
they're
kind of sometimes
fascinating.
bounce back, but sometimes don't. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. There's definitely. There's a lot that can happen with boobs. When I, in my breastfeeding journey, I had thrush.
Oh,
Which is like a yeast infection on your skin.
yeah.
And your baby, your nipple is always in your baby's mouth, which is like sugary because your milk is sugary, and like your mouth is warm. And anyways, it's so you can
The perfect
see how
storm.
the perfect place for yeast to grow. And like I had like cracking under my nipple. I remember with Oakley. And she was like 8 or 9 months old, and I had to nurse her on that one side, laying on my back on the ground with her like up here. Her feet were up above my head, and she was on her stomach. I was on my back, and she was face down like this so that her tongue would like be like lapping like on the top of my nipple so that it wouldn't like open the cut on the bottom of my nipple.
Oh,
Dude.
sounds so painful.
Intense, but like I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm doing this, so like, why do we do the things that we do? I don't know. Like
I don't know.
sometimes we just insist on doing things yeah, but I was just like, nope, like this isn't gonna stop me, like I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm proud that I did that, but I also totally see why everybody's journey is so different. And I do remember, like, there's just this feeling when you're nursing sometimes of, like, just, like, this, like, itch all over your body of just wanting to, like, crawl out of your skin, like, get away from me. Like,
Yeah.
get away from me. Like, get my nipple out of your mouth. Like, ugh, like, I just want to move so bad. Like, when you get restless leg syndrome, it's like restless body syndrome. Like, you just want to move, but you're, like, stuck under this baby and, like, ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That sounds...
They should make physical therapy for mothers, you know, like
Nursing is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sleeping, like you're always like this, and like your arm is straight up, and then the baby's laying in like the pocket under your armpit
All night
long. Yeah, arm up.
And the moment they're off the boob, they're crying.
I love that this is what my podcast has turned into. Like a Lamaze class or something. We're talking about like latching and how the baby sleeps, and just, man, ambitious has turned into such a beautiful thing.
Yes, it has. It's totally ambitious.
Yeah, I love it. It just has become its own thing. This
Yeah.
beast of a podcast that just talks about the human experience.
I was just gonna say that, the human
Yeah.
experience.
It's about time you had some mamas on here talking about their boobs and stuff.
Yeah, I was talking to Jasmine about it, and she was saying that she loves breastfeeding because of the convenience factor.
Yeah.
How you don't have to get up out of bed, and you can just like whip it out, pop it in their mouth, and it's always there. It's just ready to go. It's less expensive.
Yeah.
I guess in the end, I mean, a boob job, if you want to get a boob job after nursing, it's like $7,000.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Plus
don't
all the
know.
consultations and the drive to Portland, if that's where you want to go, because that's where the good doctors are.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, this is exciting. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Even just the exploration's probably fun,
Yeah.
even though it's also scary. I
Yeah.
think I just hear about like my friends' processes of getting things done like that, and just going under and dealing with the pain and the healing process of not being able to like lift and move your arms certain ways, and like, you know, being on pain meds. It just like all freaks me out. I think
Yeah.
that's like the biggest reason why I probably wouldn't. And some women are like, yeah, that freaks me out too, but this is more important.
Yeah.
They're like willing to do that, and I totally get it.
Yeah. I haven't, I've thought about that some, and honestly, it does freak me out too, but I'm like, gonna just face that when it comes.
Yeah, and also too,
Yeah.
I feel like if you've had babies, it's probably different. You're like, I have been through probably more pain than I will go through
Yeah.
birthing and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, was your heart set on saying anything else in the podcast while we have you here? Like, what are the things where you're like, I'm going to want to... Because I know that you're going to go home and be like,
Yeah.
damn
I
it,
will.
I should have said that thing, or I wish I would
I
have...
know.
run naked through the quad.
What? Wait,
What movie is that with the guy from Elf?
Will Ferrell?
Yeah, he like does a comedy show where he's like drunk and he's like, let's all run naked through the quad. No, never mind.
I don't know. I'm not... I'm sorry.
Trying to end it on a bang. Sorry.
What is my run naked through the quad?
The audience is probably just screaming the title of the movie or the
Yeah.
show. Is it a show or a movie?
It's a movie. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, no, there will be like,
Anchorman?
No.
Okay.
there will definitely be things that, I mean, I want to, I don't know, you know, there's just like such a longing to be known and seen, and I know that's impossible to do, you know.
Yeah.
In a podcast, there's like worlds inside all of us, and like we can't touch on all of that. So,
But how beautiful is it that we have like a platform to be able to kind of do that?
Yeah.
Like it's more... A podcast is easier to do that than on Instagram.
yeah.
Or sometimes even, like, how often do we get together and like sit down without our phones and we have each other's voices literally in our ears,
Yeah.
and we're just like locked in, not distracted. There's no kids here. Like, this is such a cool catalyst for
Yeah.
like a long form conversation, to be able to express your opinion and your world, and to be seen and known.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're like, God, I wish people could know this about me?
Well, I just want to say this. Like, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about, you know, on Instagram, like I used to go on like these monologues of like my thoughts and like feelings and like, oh, my musings on motherhood, like totally sappy, like overly like dripping with
Sap.
prose, like thoughts on motherhood and stuff. And then I kind of went through this phase where I'm just like, no, like I don't want to post anything on Instagram. Like, I don't want to share anything with the world. Like, nothing in me, like no one deserves to know anything in me. Like, I want to keep it all inside. After my like break from Mormonism, like that was kind of my experience, like just wanting to hide more, you know, and not be seen, which is very unlike me. Like, I'm very much just like, I think just like ready to greet the world, you know, in
Yeah.
a way. But I still haven't really gotten back into a place where I can type out a post and I'm like, yeah, I want to share this. Because, I don't know, like sometimes it just feels like,
Is there a fear of judgment there?
yeah. And also like once you like publish something, it's like, okay, like this is like a documentation of like where I was then, you
Yeah.
know. One thing that's nice about the podcast is, you know, you're just talking. You're not like posting, you're not typing and then editing and rereading and like
Yeah.
thinking about it from this person's mind and this person's mind and this person's mind and how they're going to judge or what they're going to hear when they read this or that. It's kind of nice on the podcast. It just like flows and it's said and
Yeah.
it is what it is. And you know what? In a year, like my opinions and thoughts will probably be changed and different.
Yeah, you seem to be the type of person that changes a lot.
Yeah, just like evolving, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, by the way.
Thank
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Sign of growth and a sign of like openness to new information and new ideas, and yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, want to answer the question of, is there anything that's burning to come out? Yes, there's so much that's burning to come out. But, yeah, I don't know, like, about what to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the highest priority thing?
yeah, I mean, it'll all be different. So, what time is it?
It is 2:30.
Okay. I have a babysitter until 4.
Nice.
So, I don't know if it will be natural to, like, continue on, but...
Well, one thing I was just thinking of is that it's really hard to, sometimes I feel like this paralysis to post things, especially nowadays because there's this cancel culture and there's such a spotlight on people from the past and what they've said in the past and how it applies to today. Mm-hmm. And so this content that we post on the internet, it's timeless. It lives for a really long time. Mm-hmm. You know, you can delete it, but sometimes people have screenshotted it or downloaded it.
Yeah.
So it just it lives on.
Yeah.
And this is just a moment in time. This is a moment where we're all really present, where it's just our thoughts today. Mm-hmm. And then later it can be looked at and scrutinized and picked apart, and that it sometimes really paralyzes me from wanting to make decisions. And that applies to my career. It applies to the things that I post online, because I don't want to be in trouble later.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to like me and to be.
And I hate that. It's so unfair. You know, it's like, but also I feel like this like thing when you're posting, like I kind of went through this phase and I still kind of feel this way. After Mormonism, I felt really like alone and in a dark place after Mormonism. It was very, very like dark. I just felt like betrayed.
Yeah, I felt that too.
My then world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like stepping away from everyone that I knew and like, you know, subjecting myself to scrutiny and judgment and stuff. And actually my family and everyone responded really kindly. And if they were mean, they did it behind my back. And so I'll never know. But just this like wanting to hold everything in and close, and just feeling like I didn't want to share anything. I can't remember if that was what I was going to say. I kind of got lost in explaining that, but
that makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, and but I hate that too. Like I hate it. Like I want to keep some things close, and like don't want to share like, you know, what's inside, and then but I also vacillate between like just like being like what's his name, Buddy on Elf, you know, just like arms wide stretched, and I think
I'm in love and I don't care who knows it.
Yeah, I think I have a giant big joy that I just want to like share sometimes, and then I don't know, yeah. Sometimes.
Well, when you feel that betrayal, that feeling of betrayal, that you really sunk your life into it, and we're very open about it and tried to get other people to join it, and then you look back at your Insta or your Facebook and you're like, these rants I went on.
Yeah.
So it's natural to feel like, okay, I don't really want to share anything because maybe later on I'll be wrong or I'll change my mind, and I don't want people to get so attached to this version of me who I was then.
Yeah.
I want to be accepted for whoever I want to be as I grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to do when so many eyes are looking at you and so many people are familiar with a version of you and they get attached to that and they want you to stay that way, it can be harder to change.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like the freedom to be able to change, and sometimes having influence from other people makes that more difficult to do.
Yeah.
So if I don't have anybody looking at me, then it's easier because nobody else knows.
Yeah.
Nobody else can say anything.
Yeah.
It's a good exercise in accepting and loving the cringy part. Because I think it's something that we don't often do very much. And I think that it's just like your growth. Like I look back at some of my photos from the beginning of my photography journey and they're so bad. I'm like, oh my God, why did I ever even think that was good and post that? Like, look at this, look at that,
It's so
look at
sad
this.
that we do that.
It is. And yet it's also an opportunity to be like, oh, that's where I was and look at where I
how
am
far I've
now.
Yeah.
And look at how far I've come. And like, it's all just a part of our development. So like being okay with the journey of who we are, you know, because there's probably going to be more cringy moments. Like
Yeah.
for me, it was 15 minutes ago saying that thing about running through the quad, you know, where I can't remember the name of the movie and I'm like, can't tie it together. And so it's just a part of the journey. And I also think too, so like we have a separate podcast called Creative Cream, and we have said a lot of very intimate things on that podcast, sharing our
We've
individual.
taken some of the episodes down.
Yeah, and the reason for
Creative
that,
cream.
yes,
Yeah. I think I've heard of that.
We haven't posted on it in a really long time.
I
Really
think I've
long
listened to some episodes, but what were you going to say, Taylor?
just that like, so at first I was like, this is really good for me. I really need to like proclaim and tell the world about my trauma because maybe it will help someone. And also I really need to be able to speak it because a part of my trauma is not telling anyone when I really should have and needed to. And so that was what I needed at that time. And then I was like, okay,
Interesting.
I feel really good now. And people who want to know are going to have to earn that
Yeah.
from me. So earned intimacy is something that I allow rather than just like letting Joe Schmo like know about it. I went through a whole thing of being like, well, but what if it helps people? Because there was people that reached out and were like, wow, like this was so helpful. Like, thank you for saying this. Like I can so relate. And so it was very validating for other people that had similar experiences. So, you know, and I still feel good about taking it down, whether or not who still has it downloaded, i.e. a lot of my family probably. But that's who I was then. And like, I was that way for good effing reason. Like if you were mad and you said some shit on Facebook and you were like, rah, 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 you know, about the church, like that was your journey. And like, you know, I'm sure, I feel like a lot of people too have a really hard time accepting anger because of whatever they haven't confronted within themselves. And so like, again, it's like healthy to express yourself. And I'm sure you weren't like hurting people. I mean, maybe in your religious rants as a Mormon, you know, being like, this is wrong and blah, 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 you know, but it's like, I don't know. It's all a part of who you are.
People can choose to be offended
Yeah.
about that stuff though too, you know.
Literally anything. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
yeah, growth is good, and I agree with you, Taylor, that talking about it is for me, it's very cathartic. And I don't know. Sometimes I think that people just don't know what questions to ask, or it's hard for them to have the courage to ask a hard question. So doing this can be a catalyst for people to relate to you in a really comfortable, they can listen to it in their bed or on their drive, and they can reach out if they want.
Just crying in
Do
the
you
car.
ever feel like, you know, you share something and you ever just feel like nobody cares? Like,
Oh, all
Yeah,
the time.
with this podcast, constantly.
you do?
Well, sometimes, yeah, like when an episode gets like no views or no response, I'm like, that was like a really vulnerable, intimate, hard thing to talk about, and especially if it's with a guest. Like I had this guest come on the podcast and talk about his attempt for suicide, and it was so heavy. Like the conversation was heavy, the podcast was heavy, and it didn't really do very well.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
That was really hard for him to share, and so I feel like
Man.
a sense of responsibility for these people to have support but I can't control
Yeah.
really how many people listen or if people decide to reach out and respond with support at all. So, but it's something that I feel.
It's interesting, like, you know, when I remember, like, I saw that on your podcast and I, like, chose not to listen to it. I was just like, I don't know if I want to listen to this, you
Yeah,
know?
it's heavy and triggering.
Just the heaviness of it. I'm like, I don't know if this is where I want to go right now, like, what I want to delve into. But it's funny how, like, we think we know what will be good for us or what will help us or what we need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like, you know, you just need to get what you get and just like take with it what you took from it, you know, rather than picking and choosing and thinking, you know, like what will be the, I don't know, best episode or whatever to listen to. I think there's something to be taken from everyone's human experience. So
yeah, we can always learn from
Yeah.
other people's experience for sure.
yeah,
That was my goal, just to help people who have maybe had suicidal thoughts or known somebody who has,
yeah,
just to feel, oh, I'm not alone. And here's somebody who struggled and their story in life looked different. But yeah, I had a few people reach out.
I need to go back and listen to it. You know, when I'm listening to The Moth, it's just like completely random stories that you might not think like, oh, this is going to do this for me. But, you know, you never know what you're going to take from somebody's random experience.
True.
So, yeah.
What were you going to say, Tay?
Just sometimes, like I told him, because I haven't listened to it, like it just, if you're dealing with a lot of pain, sometimes I feel like, or have been through stuff, or maybe it's like triggering. Sometimes it's like, I have to like set that aside for like a time when I like really can give it attention.
I mean, it's not like all about suicide. That's just where his story took him.
Yeah.
But it's a story of his relationship and struggle with guilt and being compared to other people in his family, like his immediate family, and how he just never felt good enough. And then his relationship and experience with self-hatred and with trying to protect his family from himself because he just didn't feel like he was providing them or offering them anything other than pain and difficulty. And then that took him to a point of, you know, attempting suicide.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody has a relationship with guilt and relationship with, I guess, self-hatred maybe. And it can take you to different places. And it's just it's interesting where just how it manifests in different people. So that was kind of what the story was about. But, you know, I titled it like, Don't Kill Yourself. So I think I changed the title from like something to do with suicide. I think I titled it something like Final Thoughts During a Suicide Attempt, but then I changed it to Don't Kill Yourself because I felt like it was a bit more
Grabby.
Yeah, grabby and like positive, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. As last thought, I just want to say, if your boobs do point straight down and like look at the ground, that's okay too. Like,
Totally.
Last thoughts.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like, you know, I'm like, well, this is what, yeah, anyways, I just don't know if I made it sound like, anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
You're
that it
good.
came
Yeah.
across that way at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that if you want your boobs to look at the ground and you look at them like, these boobs fed human beings for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the direction that they point now. But if you don't want them to be that way, that's totally fine too.
Yeah.
And if you, I don't know, pick them up.
Yeah. All bodies are beautiful.
If you want your boobs to reflect your mood that day, like I'm feeling awake and perky and I want my boobs to reflect that as well.
Yeah.
Or when I'm in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
While you guys were talking about that, I was like, what are like some of the male surgeries that we can do to like augment our bodies?
Calf implants. I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That feels just, yeah.
It seems like with men, it's more like chemical, like we put steroids and testosterone and stuff like that into our bodies to like give us more of an energy so that we can work out harder and then build this physique and also provide better because we're able to work longer hours and be more productive and ambitious.
Yeah.
And then with women, it's more like, how can we appear? How can we look? But that's just my...
Yeah. I think a lot of guys get Botox.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like hair plugs.
Mm-hmm.
Hair implant
Butt
stuff.
implants
Yeah. Like,
for men.
I don't
I don't
know.
need that.
Butts,
You're
like,
good, babe.
I've never looked at a guy's butt and been like, "Oh, that is a nice butt."
Really?
No.
I have.
I look at girls' butts and I'm like, that is a nice butt. But like never do I look at a guy's butt and I'm like, yeah. You know?
Really?
No.
I can't relate to that.
Rarely.
Most of the women that have been with me is because of my butt.
That's not the main reason.
I'm kidding. But Taylor chews on it from time to time.
Choose on it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, if it ever starts sagging, babe,
I don't
If
think
it ever
that's
starts
looking at the
possible.
ground.
You
Yeah.
have to be like
Oh,
80
gosh.
and
if
like,
I ever start like sitting on the toilet and just sliding off because I have no butt,
Oh my gosh.
I'll get some implants for you. I know that's
such
the
a
time.
visual.
They were just falling straight in.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
what a butt's for, like to sit on, you know. And if you can't sit anymore, you maybe need to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, thank you everybody for joining this episode, listening. It was really nice to have you on, Rylee. I think that you're very interesting to talk to. We went for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow.
Long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
And it felt really short.
Went by fast, huh?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, did that shot of whiskey help?
Yeah, it did.
Nice.
Yeah.
And pickle juice chaser.
Yep. That's the way.
Try it.
Try it.
Try it sometime.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, thanks guys. Leave a review on iTunes. Bye everybody. Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Good. Okay, I really want to do an episode with Jeremy. I feel like that, we'll be able to.
I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do one with Jasmine and Jesse right now. Trying to get them to come on.
That seems like a good,